Welcome back, dude and dudettes, to another wild episode of Send It Mate. We're here to talk about all things hunting and outdoors. And today, we've got something that'll keep your gear running smoother than a dingo's getaway.
That's right. Our show is brought to you by High Caliber, the gun and knife oil company that knows how to keep your firearms and blades in tip-top shape.
High Caliber is like the secret sauce for hunters, anglers, and outdoorsy folk everywhere. It's like the magic potion that makes your gun and knives happier than a dog with two tails.
You know, guys, I've been using High Caliber oil for a while now, and let me tell you, it's the duck's nuts. My rifle practically sings a lullaby when I take it out hunting.
And speaking of lullabies, ever tried sneaking up on a deer with a squeaky gun? It's a prime way to end up with no venison in the freezer. You'll be hungrier than a vegan at a bacon festival.
Absolutely. But with High Caliber oil, your gun will be quieter than a ninja in moonlight. You'll be stalking your prey with the grace and stealth of a mountain lion.
High Caliber doesn't just keep things quiet, it also prevents rust and corrosion, so you won't find your gear looking like it spent a season at the bottom of a creek.
That's right, and for you knife enthusiasts out there, High Caliber has got you covered too. Your trusty blade will slice through anything smoother than butter on a hot biscuit.
So, folks, don't let your gear become a rusty, squeaky mess. Head on over to highcaliber.com.au and grab a bottle of their oil today.
And if you use the code SENDITMATE at checkout, you'll get a special discount. I say again, use the code SENDITMATE for all your oil slick, stealthy hunting needs.
Thanks to High Caliber, you'll be sending it in style and silence.
So, gear up, oil up, and send it, mate. High Caliber, the ultimate oil for the ultimate hunter.
Jeez Louise, what's cracking, motherfuckers?
Thanks, Ryan, for that random sound effect to start the podcast. Welcome to another edition of Send It Mate podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Josh.
I'm Ryan.
And we have a special guest this week,
We do.
a return guest.
All the way from Kingaroy, Queensland.
I'm sorry, from where? Can you say that again?
Kingaroy.
Fuck, hi,
Hang on.
Did we actually get a round of applause for Kingaroy? Because no. There's peanuts and a piggery. Like, come on, man. I mean, I love the town, and we'll spend the rest of my life there if given the option.
Well, what there is
Does
in
the
Kingaroy.
bacon taste like peanuts?
If you get the bacon that tastes like no, it doesn't.
That's, that is not
gonna
a
go-
thing.
No,
I was gonna,
Actually, no, I had bacon flavoured
Syphilis.
almonds the other week.
what?
Well, good for you.
Bacon-flavoured almonds?
I've had
Yeah.
them, actually. I've had
Bacon
them.
flavoured almonds.
They're not bad.
Yeah, that did not taste like syphilis, no.
I don't even want to know how they got that flavour that small. How? How do they do it?
What?
How do they make the flavour so small?
Is this a shapes
This
reference?
is a shapes
This is a
reference.
re- it's
It's a
like
very vague, sort of obscure shapes.
This is a very vague
It's flavour you
reference.
can see, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Does
Yeah.
anyone,
You are a
anyone else
90s.
know where this is coming from?
Yeah.
You're a child of the 90s.
I am a child.
Anyone who got that from Ryan.
Fucking booyah.
well
These are the
done.
guys that appreciated my red dog joke way back when.
Anyway, let's
made a
officially
joke?
fucking shut the fuck up and
I make
introduce
several
our guest.
jokes.
Give him a round of applause. Dr. Tim. We got there eventually.
Hello, Tim. I want to have your babies.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Tim.
Oh, long time no see.
How you going?
Well, I had to fly from Queensland to Adelaide wearing a mask.
A desert to
So
a
I
desert.
went from a desert to a desert. and then yeah, no, it was I'm here. That's all it.
Did you have to wear a mask the whole way?
You have to wear a mask the whole way
Oh, fuck
unless
that
you
shit now,
are
yeah.
eating or drinking. So I ordered a lot of food and drinks on the plane so that I just never had to wear a
I'd
mask.
just be getting fucking lit.
Isn't that just fucking moronic though? Because you're taking the mask off to eat and drink. So why don't you just not wear the fucking mask? Because it's going to do its damage anyway.
I
when
thought
you're
it was
eating
funny
and
because my daughter was sitting on my lap because she's an infant and she sneezed more than I did during the plane. And I was just waiting for a frickin' stewardess to come by and say, does your daughter have COVID? Not if the exits are here, here, and here. Thank you very much.
No, I would have just looked at her and been like, not a doctor.
Could you test your own kids?
For what? COVID?
For COVID.
Asperger's.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm going to join you, Josh. Yes, I could, but I wouldn't because if I don't sneeze on them, how are they going to get it?
I'll just do it for shits and giggles.
You are a weird, strange man.
I like my children. I don't want to stick something that far down their nose. Like,
That's a fair point. I hadn't thought about that.
yeah.
Although my son's been tested a few times, and he was like, he's been tested.
For what?
Well, it's just like his daddy, so that's just
So everything you've passed on to him, basically.
yeah.
He has most of the chromosomes.
There's only so far that Ritalin will get you.
Apparently, I can go somewhere here, but I just can't. Damn it.
We won't. Anyway, it's nice to have Dr. Tim in the flesh.
It is.
Here with us tonight instead of via Zoom.
Yeah, and appropriately 1.5 meters away from everybody. It's great.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
just works out on this table somehow.
It does.
It does.
It does.
I think it's just like because the table's got so many stains on it, everyone's just sort of
Naturally sits
naturally
back.
sits
a bit
back.
extra.
and
It's
then-
an oddly white tablecloth, that's for sure.
That's not even a tablecloth, man. That's a curtain backing.
Like, okay.
Well,
The
white
texture's quite lovely.
No,
It is nice. It's
it works
thick.
well. It's got slight plastic texture.
Anyway, let's move on. So for the first time since they were born, I got to meet my nieces, which are your daughters,
You did, and they stopped screaming briefly,
and then started screaming.
and then started screaming again when you looked at them. Yeah.
Many a women scream
Hang
when
on,
they see
hang on.
Josh.
I'm dying to do this. Do you have a favourite, Josh?
I do, yes. I don't remember the name because I can't tell the difference.
You don't remember the name of either of them, do you?
Well, that's kind of what happens with twins.
It's Nadia and Neve.
Well done.
And
Okay.
It's, I think it might be Nadia,
I don't
the
remember.
chubbier one.
The chubbier one. They're babies.
No, but no,
It's
there's,
supposed to be chubby.
no. I'm not saying that as a bad thing.
Like, are
I'm
you
try-
looking at me when you say that?
Fat one.
The five of us at the table. Wow. This is
And he's the doctor out of all of us.
No, there's no other way to describe them.
The fat one.
They're babies.
No,
Are you fat shaming a kid?
No, fuck, no.
She's a year old and you're already telling her she's too fat.
Jesus Christ, you misogynistic fuck.
You know, H&M is built for people like you.
Nadia, never listen to this, please. No,
So
Nadia, no, so there you go. Nadia, don't listen. Neve, favorite.
You've gone the double N. That's got to be confusing.
Well,
I struggle enough, right? And my kids.
the nice thing is what we have Naive and Niadia because you can never remember which one's which. So you start going, Neve? And stop. Yeah. Just, which one are you? Oh, turn around. Turn around.
Oh, yeah. I would like
What
to
are you
know
doing? Yeah.
how are you going to initial their school clothes?
Oh, NT, 100%.
Just everything NT.
Yeah, because then it doesn't matter.
Assuming.
can you put a C and
But
a
according
U
to
in
Josh,
front
you've
of
got a
that?
fat one. So
He's got Nat and Net.
hey.
He just has to put the second letter. He's got Nat and Net.
Oh, look
they
at you.
have middle names that are different.
Oh, okay. well,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And
That's
I mean,
assuming there's enough
I'm
space.
just saying,
I'd
you're making it hard for yourself because mine have completely different letters and I call them the opposite name all the time.
Well, yeah, but see, I solved the problem. I was going to call them like 1 and 2, but that was frowned upon by the Australian government. So, you know.
So we
He
have
was like-
professional, and then we have you, Caleb. So brains.
Well, I sometimes roll out twin A and twin B just to like when I really want to get their attention.
I use baby 1 and
Do
baby
they know which one's A and which one's B?
Yeah, they do.
Can you swear at your
One's
kids?
older by 1 minute.
Oh.
2. Yeah.
Is Ava the older one?
Yes.
Can you swear at
By
your kids?
1 minute.
Like, just be like.
I mean, you
little
can,
shit.
Josh, but should you? That's the point.
I feel like it's character building.
Did you
Right up until they
Like,
say
you
that
didn't
word
get-
to the teacher. And the teacher looks at them and says, "Where did you hear that?" And they go, "Daddy says it all the time." And then I have to go to the principal's
I
office.
swear at
and
my kid
explain-
all the time. I say, for fuck's sake, Archer, Scotch goes in first and then the Coke.
Why do I actually believe that?
Yeah.
Well, I know for a fact you never got swore at by your parents as a child, Josh. So
No way.
You're saying you have no character.
Well, no,
No,
because
none.
Josh would have gone.
Yeah.
Josh!
Gee willikers, Josh. By golly.
Yeah.
Stuck at me, Joshua.
Josh Struth, mate. You're in real big trouble now.
Pretty much. Yeah. And because of that, it never actually sunk in when I was in trouble.
Because you weren't sure if your dad was serious or not.
Yeah. Like, it's
I
just
guess
like,
G. Willikers is not really the most like, you know, have I done something wrong, or is he making a 1940s reference?
And you're like,
you know?
Batman?
What are we gonna do?
Fucking hell.
oh shit. Caleb's never watched Batman, so he doesn't get that reference.
Yeah, when you get sent to the laundry, you know, like the game is you got to try and break out before he comes in for a whooping.
Well, actually, the ironic thing about that is he'd send me to the bathroom when I was in trouble, and I'd have to sit there with my hands on the sink, and then I'd just wait and play the waiting game. And then when he felt like he could get off his ass to come and smack me, he would come and do it.
Hey, what do you mean hands on the sink? Like, as in you'd have
Like
to
brace for impact sort of thing.
Yeah,
like presenting?
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Present your
This is
ass.
going down a really bad.
For a whooping.
yeah.
Could you? I just imagine if like a parent. I'm just picturing
no,
if a
'cause
parent did that
as-
these
as-
days with a kid with a phone.
No, as a kid, when you're a kid and you were about to get spanked, your natural reaction was to put your hands on your backside
Yeah.
to take the shot. So Dad would be like, "Nah, put your hands on the fucking sink."
Yeah, my parents made me put my hands on the bed.
I had to touch my toes.
Wow. Did you ever like cop it right to like
most of the time I-
fucking
Meanwhile, Dr. Tim's sitting there going, I should have become a psychologist because I could have made a year's wage in this room.
I mean, I wanted a new Land Cruiser. I mean, give me a year with you three and PBS funding.
Anyway, we're digressing rapidly, but on a serious note, we thought it'd be a good thing to have Dr. Tim back on the podcast, given he's live with us in Adelaide. We got a lot of good feedback to our last episode we had with you over Zoom. So,
Like, people actually listen to that.
yeah, for sure. People loved it.
mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to it because I like the sound of my own voice. But
Well,
I mean,
speaking of voices, actually, a lot
I've
of,
masturbated while listening to it.
I just assume you do it during because you can hear that sound.
I'm
every so
not
often.
gonna lie, I wasn't wearing pants the whole time.
But speaking of voices, a lot of people thought, because you do have although we know it's not American, it's an American sounding accent, and for somehow that sort of just makes people seem
More professional.
more more professional,
We're
but
learned.
a person of note because they have an American accent on an Australial podcast.
So what
But you actually have a
what
Canadian
you're basically
accent.
saying is that any foreigner in your country must be smarter than a local.
Essentially. Although we did
Because
try.
like you know, whenever you watch like bad movies, the British person is automatically the villain.
That's true.
So in Australia, is the Canadian the smart one?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, pretty much.
We do have a
Why
culture
am I
of
still doing
boganism.
the job that I do?
You could be prime minister.
No. Oh no, I'm a citizen now. Well, I will be on January 26th.
Are you not a citizen?
He's an alien.
It takes me a bit. It takes time. You have to tick some boxes.
I
and,
wouldn't know. I've never had to do it.
That's true. I mean, I had to answer a questionnaire that was like 10, 12
Oh
questions.
my God, really? What were the questions?
Do you like Vegemite?
Yeah.
Oh, no, because there's no right answer for that. Yeah.
What's the biggest bridge in Australia?
Who is Don Bradman?
What is a Tim Tam? I don't know. No, there was, one of them was if there's two people who are equally suitable for a job and one of them's a woman, which of the following, like which of them do you hire basically? And there were 4 options. And I remember reading the options going, I don't actually know which one's the right answer because, well, who cares? Like you hire the one who, I don't know, showed
most
up
suitable
on
for-
time.
yeah.
Like what
Most suitable to the job?
yeah, and but it was like it was a male and a female were equal. Which one do you hire? And then there were 4 options. Like that's A and B.
what the
was C and D?
Fuck.
What the fuck were
Oh
the
no,
options?
because it was probably one of them was probably along the lines of like it doesn't matter. You shouldn't base it on the sex of the person. And one of them was, of course, women can't do a good job. Of course, men shouldn't get jobs. And then the third one was, or fourth one was probably like neither of them hire
they like
someone from
3
China.
of
Are they
them
trying
sound
to weed
correct.
out the sexist people? Is that what
Oh well, there was a question about should you punch your wife? Like, should you punch your partner?
Naturally, we all answered yes to that.
In,
Well,
in the fart box with your tongue?
Yeah,
Because that's what we're talking about here.
What are we punching here?
Well played, Joshua. Well played.
no, there's a book that the Australian government actually gives you to study from. It's a whopping 30 pages.
Wow.
And when you read it, you really start wondering after about page 5, who would get these questions wrong? And then when you actually do the test, you really start thinking, who's going to get these questions wrong? Like, hilariously, I got one wrong, and it was because I didn't know who he swore allegiance to. Because I guessed it was the people of Australia, but apparently it's the Queen.
Yeah.
Still,
I would just say the flag.
We're stuck.
Well, no, because it wasn't even like the flag wasn't even on, because I would have said the flag. Because I'm like, oh, that's American enough, right? You know, swear allegiance to a flag or some crap like that. I'm like, whatever. No, it was the Queen, the people, I don't know, a god, and something else. I'm like, oh, it can't be the Queen. She's probably dead by now. So it's got to be the people of Australia. Oh no, wrong.
Wow.
Well, I
Still
reckon
a Commonwealth, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon she's getting there. But I am an advocate to become our own entity.
You're an
As in
advocate
a republic.
for.
Yes.
So what
Becoming
you're
a
saying,
republic.
you and Barbados have something in common.
I just think of Star Wars every time someone says that. We should become a republic. It's a trap.
If we did, I would
I get an extra one?
definitely run
Nice.
for president.
Josh, look at you. There was a fucking epic nerd moment that just happened between these two.
Zoned out.
We touched tips a little there. Yeah.
Oh God.
So it's a little bit of Star Wars reference. You wouldn't get it.
No, neither of us do.
Nah, sorry, man.
I'm actually totally fine with that too.
I'm fine with that too as well.
I'm proud of you.
I don't get it when you start something in the middle and then go back to go forward.
It sounds like you're trying to have sex.
It lost me as soon as you started in the middle. I'm like, yeah, why are they doing all this shit? Who's who? Why is he fucking his sister?
I genuinely don't know what you're talking about.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Episode 3 was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Four. something
Episode
like
4.
See, that's
And
how
then-
much I know.
A New Hope.
that. And you're jumping straight into him fucking his sister or something.
No.
Yeah.
He kissed
Dude,
her.
you're watching porn.
This is what you do. You skip to the middle.
You put your finger on the little dot in the timeline and then drag it while you're watching the box in fast in speed motion so you get to the good bit.
So basically,
I'm ready
Josh,
for full sex. I don't do foreplay.
Actually, I learned something the other
So the
day.
way Josh watched Star Wars was, bum, 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 I love you. I know. We've won. The Death Star is destroyed. That was a shit movie.
Yeah, pretty
Where were
much.
the tits?
That's what
Well,
you
there
need.
are no bras in the future, remember?
You needed the fast forward button for a few movies. The Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings was one of them. Fucking
Oh,
hell.
mate, The Lord of the Rings is a classic.
Oh my
A
god.
classic to use fast forward, yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, Lord of the Rings was better than
I
Star Wars.
learnt how to use a computer because of that movie.
Because of what? Hang on.
Because of what? What? Star Wars.
No, because of the Lord of the Rings, the fast forward button.
Oh, you learned how to use a DVD
Remote control.
player?
Yeah, remote.
Yeah, I don't know how to use that computer.
Well, it had a screen.
Yeah.
It's
got buttons.
Screens and buttons. Calculator has screens and buttons. Josh, can you use one of those?
I can write boobless or boobs or shell.
Or boobies.
Any one of those options I can write.
And that is the full extent of his spelling repertoire.
Oh yeah, I was definitely that kid.
No, you're not allowed to drink the whiskey.
Hang on, there's sheepdog there.
Oh, God.
All right, for the listeners out there,
open the maker's mark.
let's do a poll: Maker's Mark or sheepdog. And if you hadn't tried sheepdog,
I'm not waiting a week for this to come out.
It'll be longer than a week because at the time we were recording this, we do not know when we will release this episode.
we don't.
And it will probably be in season 4.
How did you
at some
screw
point.
up opening a maker's mark?
Normally, I don't buy.
Ryan touched it. Ryan touched it. There you go.
Ryan
That's
doesn't
not
drink
even the good
alcohol.
maker's
He
mark. That's
doesn't
just
drink
the basic
alcohol in
stuff.
that price point.
What price point?
Is Maker's Mark expensive?
I don't think
Not
so.
really.
It's more expensive.
It's like a middle of the range.
It's good.
I'm more of like a cheap Irish
I-
whiskey kind of guy.
I mean, I'll just drink out of the bottle
Ryan
if you
goes
want.
into the liquor store and buys the cheapest.
I look for the yellow tags. I did not even pay attention to the regular prices.
This was on sale at Dan Murphy's.
I'm not going to lie. There is no Dan Murphy's within my vicinity.
You know they deliver. Shout out Dan Murphy's.
Don't tell him
the
that.
front door.
Don't tell him that. He'll be bankrupt.
Did you notice the box that I brought all this stuff
No.
in has Dan Murphy's written on it?
Well, yeah, I thought you like scuttled down the old Dan Murphy's run, but
And they got a free box.
I don't know what they're doing at the box factory these days.
Let's ask
Caleb?
Caleb. Some more touching of the tips.
No longer in that industry. I have no
They
idea.
used the wrong glue on the wrong box.
I've forgotten everything.
See, my favourite is when we're walking down the aisle in the shops and Caleb's like, it's my client. What? Because they left the box.
It's a
in the
tampon box
packaging.
as well. It's my client. Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. I don't work in that industry.
I wonder if gynecologists say that.
Boom.
Sorry, God, you need to edit that part out.
No way. That's fucking hilarious.
That's staying in there.
That's my.
Speaking of doctors and weird shit that gets said, I went to the dog park of all places on the weekend, and my sausage dog decided to run up and start playing with this Labrador.
I'm glad you said dog at the end of that.
My sausage ran up to a doctor. My sausage dog ran up to what turned out to be a couple of anaesthetists who had a Labrador. And
Hold on.
because my dog,
All right, okay. Now continue the story.
that was Josh pissing. Because
In a cup.
my dog was in their vicinity, I was listening to their conversation, and one was obviously qualified as an anaesthetist, and the other one was still studying.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were joking around, and one was like, "Yeah, man, like I'll put you to sleep, no worries. Like just for fun, we'll do it." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, "Oh yeah, no, you can have this amount, and it'll kill you, but this amount, oh, you'll wake up, you'll be like the best sleep you've ever had." And I'm like, "What the fuck are these guys talking about?"
Dude, that would so be me if I was in.
And then they started talking about committing suicide as well. I'm like, this is the most fucking weird conversation I've overheard from two anaesthetists.
Yeah.
What's that movie where there's like exactly the same thing where they put each other to sleep like just before death?
Inception.
No,
it's not Inception.
No. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then they balance and they open up some realm to hell or some
Yes,
shit.
I know the movie you're talking about.
Yeah. Fucking
Anyway,
cool
these
movie.
guys were on that level. It was just weird, and they did not give a shit that I was standing 1.5 meters from them.
100%. If you're a doctor, you're trying your own shit that you're selling.
No, I have not tried a birth control pill.
I have. Gave me blood clots.
So did
I mean,
Sorry,
in a-
so
in
did
a-
Bosler.
Actually, no, in a way, you are sort of, you're not really selling stuff, but you're selling a solution without necessarily having
pregnancy?
tried everything personally.
Well, that is true. Yeah. Because I've given many people Viagra.
But is that weird in a way? But
I've
you know
given
what it's going
people-
to do for them.
Well, they're happy.
Do you ever get intrigued and like, oh, I might try that?
No.
Might try that.
Not
Can you
really.
I
prescribe
do all
yourself
the
your own
time.
prescriptions?
Is that legal?
Yeah. So yes.
Oh, fuck yeah.
What?
So
I'm becoming a doctor.
Hold on. Asterisk.
hang
Big
on,
asterisk.
big
hold on.
asterisks here.
Big asterisk. Okay. So yes, I am allowed to prescribe myself technically whatever I want, but I have to be able to justify the prescriptions.
Yeah.
So if I prescribe myself 10 vials of morphine and it's so that I can go and run a clinic in Rwanda, that's one thing. If I prescribe myself 10 vials of morphine because I want to go out on Saturday night, that's a completely different reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like you'd use the first option to do the second option.
And this is why we have a Hippocratic oath where it says, be nice to people.
You're going to come under scrutiny, put it that way.
Oh, you'd very much. And it would actually be that like the pharmacists themselves would be looking at you and then they look at the prescription and then they look back at you and they'd be like, really?
Well, like, do you rock up in your board shorts and thongs, or do you like wear a suit to get your prescriptions though? Like, is that the difference?
So the only thing I've given myself a prescription for is hydrocortisone cream because I had an itch. So
That you couldn't stretch.
no, I could scratch it, and that was what's annoying. So I had hydrocortisone cream for it, and it was primarily because it's actually technically an over-the-counter drug, but it was easier to shut the person up from trying to tell me how to use it if I just gave them a script. So I wrote it on the back of a receipt piece of paper. So a prescription officially has to have the patient's name, the patient's address, Medicare number, the drug dose, frequency, blah, 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 and my name and my prescriber number. You can write it on anything you want. It doesn't have to be a script pad or anything like that.
Get
Oh,
out.
as long as it's got all those information.
So it has, as long as it has all that information, that's enough to fulfill the criteria for the pharmacy. So if I take a, dirty napkin from a restaurant and write all that on it and then hand it in a pharmacy, they'd have to give me the drug. Well, they don't have to, but that is a legal prescription.
I wonder how many fraudulent prescriptions would get processed a year.
But it would be really hard to because the pharmacist still has the final decision as to whether they're going to give it to you.
yeah.
I reckon the
So,
pharmacists are the dodgy ones. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they actually have more regulations than we do. It's actually harder for pharmacies to like get around some of this stuff than the doctors can.
That's probably why most of them become drug dealers.
Well,
What doctors or
It's a
pharmacists?
fucking broad state.
that's funny. 'Cause I went
they are drug dealers. They deal.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
But illegally, I mean.
yeah. They
Hang
have
on,
a
was
license
that
number.
was
Side
that
hustle.
another joke we didn't get, or
No, I got it.
I went in to get some scripts the other
This is
week.
good stuff, isn't it? Making you funnier and me smarter. No.
That's how you got through med school.
make his
Sorry, I had to put that in there. I went to the pharmacist the other week get some prescriptions, and I went to a new Terry White actually, and they had, and you know how like at the back they normally have the shelves and like all the medications up on the shelves and things like that. They've now actually got a computer, so all the drugs are inside this like locked mechanical machine.
Mechanized is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, that's the one. And then, like they'll type it in, and the machine will dispense the drug like a giant vending machine, essentially.
wow.
But it cuts out like tampering and things like that. And it just so happened that the first box it threw out had a big like a cut in it, or it was open or something like that. So this very, very over. What's the word when someone's like real
Sexually attractive.
real like sort of bubbly. Like it was like it was on
Extroverted.
meth, pretty much. Like just real talkative, real happy.
over exuberant.
Yeah. And he's marked
Trying
the
his
box and he's like,
supply.
oh, that one's no good. I'll have to put that behind the counter. And my immediate thought was, yeah, you're taking that home tonight, aren't you?
He's not even waiting that long, mate. He's having it on his lunch break.
Probably. Yeah, well, yeah, it was night, so he's probably taking it to get through the night shift.
That's like the equivalent of working on night fill and just denting some cans of shit so you can take it home.
I did that all the fucking time. All the time.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, there's Frodo Frogs. Whoops, that packet's open.
Steve,
And then the skip bin would be right next to the car park where all the staff park their cars. Like, well, it was meant to be.
so one of our mutual
So
mates
is
used
that
to
why
work
you
at
got
Woolies.
youth for the first time, so you could throw it really far over the skip in?
Oh,
right in the
shit. No,
back?
no, I was driving the Yellow Canary then.
Oh yeah,
So it had no
That's
rear
Caleb's
window.
old car. So he had this old, like,
it's XF Falcon wagon.
just a box thing that had a kill switch in it that killed everything and didn't want to start.
You have to hold the
You know
kill
that's
switch and
like-
turn the key.
I'm Canadian. That's literally just words. Exit Falcon's.
So it's like a station wagon, like an old school station
an old
wagon.
Ford.
It's a Ford piece of shit.
Oh, okay. See, I understood that.
Yeah, so I'd park this thing right next to the skip, and then
And they
there's a Bilo back in the day. I'd literally, because I'd work I worked my way up from the dog food aisle to the confectionery aisle, and then once I got there, I knew I'd made it. So I started breaking shit and putting it in my car.
This is when Bilo existed.
Yeah, it was Bilo, man.
I feel like you could have just eat the chocolates whilst on shit.
Nah, because they put cameras in the back. Because there was guys that'd go out and have like
guys like
sleep.
you that were
Yeah.
stealing.
No.
No, I mean borrowing.
I would borrow it, and then I'd bring it back later in the form of a poo. No, there's guys that were sleeping in the back. Like they'd rack all the trolleys together and then just like literally sleep through their 3-hour shift. So they put cameras in the back, like where all the storage stuff was for the product. So you had to like figure out where the cameras were, make sure your back was facing the camera, and then like open a bag and then be like, oh, go and write it down as like inventory lost, take it out to the skip in quotations, and then just throw it in the back of the car.
Yeah, that's
I
fucked.
pretty much lived off of that sort of stuff.
Creative.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Do you know what though? It saved me so much I was living off of like chocolate and nuts because, depending on the aisle that you're in.
It looks like it. It
Oh,
looks
thanks, bro. Fat shaming me now. Fat shaming
You're a
kids.
serial fat shamer, man.
You're a misogynistic fuck.
One of our mutual mates used to work at Steve used to work at Woolies actually, and he used to mark down the turkeys because they were like $40 a turkey. He'd mark them down to like $3 as like going out of date, and then he'd finish shift, run back and buy them all and give them to his family for $3 a turkey.
Can't argue with that.
Okay, good on him.
That's quite. I'd do that. He got fired, needless to say, for doing that. But
Quite thrifty of him.
I was gonna say it's one of the biggest problems with working for a hospital. There's nothing I want. Like what would I steal?
what do you mean?
Do you get
you
free
got
shit from
cocaine,
Drugs.
fucking
What would
heroin.
I- What? But why would I buy that? Like, why would I steal that from the hospital?
Unless it's, yeah, I get what you're saying. Unless it's like
That takes away
a
the fun
mate's-
of forming a relationship with the drug dealer.
Yeah, he's my friend. That's Bob. I see
free
Bob
samples.
every 3 days.
Supporting a local business. Come on.
Yeah, it's real hard. It's real. No, do you know what? Business has skyrocketed since COVID because everyone's at home getting higher.
Do you actually see a dude from the big pharma every few days?
No, we're not allowed. So in Australia, pharmaceutical companies are not allowed to advertise their products directly to public health facilities. So I work in a public health facility. Obviously, I work in a hospital. So I never get pharmacy people giving me drugs or anything like that. When I worked as a GP or when I work as a GP, because it's private, they're allowed to come to our practices, give us free stuff, like give us lunch, tell us about their new medications, leave samples and stuff like that behind. But like in a public hospital, I never I never see anything fun in a public hospital.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Oh, well, that's a bit.
Yeah, I'm lucky if I get a free coffee once every so often.
That's a bit shit. I'd be like milking that actually if you like in the GP. I'd be like, yeah, look, we're going out for lobster and scotch. Top
But
shelf.
that whole scenario is completely different in the US, yeah?
Oh yeah, oh my God.
So how does that work in the US?
I used to love being an American med student, actually. No, so in the U.S., drug companies are allowed to market to anybody they want because everything over there basically is private. You know, the public hospitals are few and far between. It's all private. They're allowed to do anything they want to get you to prescribe their medications. And, you know, they can leave samples, they can take you out, they can do anything you want. When I was a student over there, we used to get invited out to things. And I remember one that they took us out to basically the best restaurant in town and open bar. And when you went up to the bar, you just said like, oh, can I have a, whiskey or something like that? And they would just grab the Johnny Blue and pour it in. And it was like the nothing below that top line was being even used that day.
Wow.
And it was all like, and there was like a, Pfizer sign somewhere in the lobby that you had to like sign your name on. And that was it.
Pfizer sign?
Yeah, like Pfizer was sponsoring the night or something, or one of those half a dozen different companies.
Sponsored by
Pfizer.
I was going to say, like, did they take you to Olive Garden? But I don't think that was a.
Burning Man?
Isn't that in New York or is that?
No, Olive Garden's
LA.
a chain all across North America.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a chain.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
It's like Sizzlers.
It's like white
Equivalent?
person fancy.
What?
All right, so
Is that like blue collar white person, or is that like run the world white person?
It's like if Karens are going to get dressed up, they go to Olive Garden because of the all you can eat breadsticks.
Yeah, or you can eat breadsticks, cheap, bubbly.
Yeah.
So jumping back onto this thing, I've got a question. Do doctors in the States get kickbacks
Yes.
from these drug companies?
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. So you don't. So they've changed a couple of the rules and made it a bit harder. But if you are a top prescriber, let's say there's a medication on the market that one of the companies wants you to prescribe more than something else. If you prescribe it more than every other GP in town, then you'll get invited to their annual conference, which will be in the Bahamas at a 5-star resort.
Oh, that's
all
fucked up.
inclusive. And you'll get invited there because you're their top prescriber. And the conference will be one night out of 14 at this resort that you have to go and attend a lecture or something like that.
You know what? That is not beneath me. I would do that. I would belt feed like Prozac just to go to the Bahamas.
I mean, you got to get through med school first, but
How many?
I feel
years
like there's
is
a
med
drug I could get through med school with that.
the whole concept of that is bizarre because, like, as a doctor, you're like salesperson of the month for this drug.
That's
You
fucked
get a
up,
reward
man.
for that.
That is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not. If the drug works,
No, because you'd have people that would.
well,
just
they're not going to come in
prescribe it.
for a cut, and you're going to be like, okay, here's some heroin. Fuck, you're going to
Yeah,
be
but
like,
what I'm thinking of here is like the lowest denominator of human beings, which there would be in every
let's face
industry. So
at least one resides in this room.
you're referencing you or me?
I'm like,
Me, because it's not beneath me, man. I'd do it if I was a doc.
That's why you're not a doctor.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would give you
Not a
like
doctor.
not even 6 months. I'd give you like a month of trying to study to be a doctor, and you'd be like, "Fuck this shit."
Although if Josh did become a doctor, hi everybody.
Yeah. The bees for bargain.
Actually,
The J is for you might survive.
you're
point
making
is, though-
it sound actually quite cool to become a doctor.
Oh, the perks, bro.
No, it sounds scary, man. It sounds like there's a massive conflict of interest because you're incentivizing doctors to prescribe stuff that they wouldn't necessarily have to.
Yeah, but it's all legal. Like you're allowed.
Yes, it's
to do it.
legal. Yes, it's legal, but they'd be putting people on drugs that don't need to be.
It's a question of
If you were my
individual
patient,
moral dilemma, really.
bro, I would load you up.
I'll bet you would.
Yeah, probably with
Hey,
some fat burners. Just-
Dr. Tim, is there a drug that's the opposite of Viagra that like makes you limp as a fucking biscuit?
What a curveball, that one.
Well,
What a question.
okay.
The reason,
Yes.
My cock
No, no,
is
so-
too
so-
hard.
So there's
How do I become more flaccid?
so there's two ways of answering that question. So there's yes, if you really want to get into the pharmacology, I could spend the next fucking hour trying to explain it to you guys. But
we talk
two of
about
you
dicks
guys-
a lot on this podcast. So.
I know, but I'm just how can I talk about a dick being hard without okay, like I mean it's like stabbing a needle in one. I've only done it twice, shut up. Not mine either. No, so okay. Yes, there are medications on the market that exist that do the opposite of what Viagra does.
yeah.
But they're for like emergency use and if you're trying to prop up someone's heart and make them not die.
So their heart, instead of their blood going to their dick, it goes to their heart.
Well, it goes to their brain because
Goes to
and
their
heart
brain,
and
right.
other important parts of you that
If I
are
was
not
a doctor,
connected to you.
I would prescribe a whole bunch of that shit and just slip into these boys'
but
drinks.
hang on, I think Ryan's perception of Viagra needs to be sort of like altered here because Viagra does not just you don't take it and then just get a stiff.
No.
Yeah, I know.
dick.
You gotta have like the urge still. Like I get that works.
The other way that you could do that that would probably work better is actually hormones.
Oh shit, yeah.
Because if you gave somebody enough, if you gave a dude enough like
Steroids?
estrogen and stuff, steroids just make it small. It works. It just doesn't. You can't see it.
So that's odd because I read the same different thing. I read that it makes your ball small but your dick bigger.
Well, if you take away the bottom part, the top part looks bigger, but it's the same size.
Correct. It's all relative.
It's a relative thing.
And that's like physical anatomy. You can't. It's like taking something to make your
But
arm shrink.
if you can lift fucking 5 pounds with your dick, it's going to get bigger. It's going to grow. No one's seen Quagmire on fucking.
Oh, I have, but at the same time, I'm sitting here going like, there's so many problems with the anatomy with what you're trying to describe that I'm just like, no.
So it won't work.
No.
He's just trying to justify his own issues. That's all. That's all he's trying to do.
So are you trying to say you have really small balls?
No, I'm pretty average. I'm happy to announce. Pretty satisfied with that.
I mean, it depends on like. Here's a question for you, Dr. Tim.
Hold on. I need more maybe.
Yeah, this is going weird. Sideways. real
If you
quick.
don't come for like ages, do your I don't mean you personally.
that went rather wrong, too.
I mean generally.
These are the questions our listeners want answered.
If you don't come for ages, do your balls get bigger?
No.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of editing this week, Caleb.
Oh, look, the beauty of this episode is it's not going to get released for a long time, so I can send it to this man well in advance. But that's a fair question, right? Because I was watching a show this week and someone said that I was watching that Naked Attraction show, all right?
Great show.
Which is a great show, right?
It's either a hit or miss though, man. You see some nasty shit on there.
You do see some nasty shit on there. Anyway, this chick was like, I like big balls. And she said, well, I'm assuming your balls are bigger when they're full of jizz. And then the guy who got voted off had tiny balls and he said, I shouldn't have got so excited in the hotel room the night before.
I think I've seen that episode.
Yes. So that is a relevant question.
70 balls.
Certainly to me because that's fresh in my mind. I'm assuming your balls aren't where it all gets stored and they get bigger.
Well, I mean, oh God.
Bro, they don't teach sex ed in South Australia very well.
Apparently they don't teach
They
anything.
teach like anatomy, but not how anything actually works.
I mean, we do have a lot of things that need debunking.
We do.
Certainly, most things Ryan has said. So feel free. Feel free. You've listened to our episodes.
I offered to get 2 bottles of scotch and sit down with Ryan and debunk everything he said.
Everyone knows I just talk smack.
Anyway, okay, so Jesus, jizz is made up of multiple things, multiple substances from about 4 different ducts and parts of your body.
Sorry, did you say ducts or duct?
Yeah, ducts. That's
How many ducks does it take to make jizz?
4. I just said that. Fuck, man. Right, listen. Jeez. Okay.
This is my favorite moment on the podcast ever.
Now, yes, sperm is a part of that, but the part that actually would build up to create a higher volume would be the other components of it. So after you go without relieving yourself for an amount of time, you would build it up to a point, but then your body just starts basically leaking it out anyway into your piss.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Like eventually it would just like those things that store it up are not just going to pop. They're going to just start overflowing.
So what I'm hearing is if you're into piss play, there's a potential that they can get pregnant.
Of course.
You see, we used to call them bush babies actually in the army because like guys would go away for like a month, you know, obviously not have enough time to diddle themselves, and they'd come back, they'd see their missus.
Obviously didn't do picket.
They'd root them, and then suddenly they'd be pregnant, and we'd call them bush babies because your balls were backed up for a month. But clearly,
I think that's false because I think there's like an optimum time.
About a 3-day window.
Yeah.
Three
so
to
correct
5
me
day
if I'm
window,
wrong, but yeah, between like days 3 and 4.
so you're saying that no one fell into that 3-day window when they got back.
So what you're basically saying is that the entire Australian army, someone at some point came back from doing picket where they got interrupted during a 3-day window with their missus and got them knocked up. Yeah, statistically, that's probably likely.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like the entire time they were away, they didn't have a crank, and then they got home with this massive backload of jizz and impregnated their women.
All right, we haven't had a life where it's 9 to 5. We get to come home and have out bush. It's just
That's irrelevant.
Go,
what we're saying is there's a 3-day window.
you don't get a crank.
No.
Production.
Like when your sperm is optimum for impregnating someone, it's after a certain amount of days of abstinence. Not like fucking 3 months.
Hold on. Josh, do you envision your balls as basically like Rocky's training? So the longer they sit there, the stronger they get. It's like dan, 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 dan. And you're doing like punching, like you're beating the meat and they're punching the meat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that's not how it works.
And then
His dick doesn't punch his balls punch his dick.
they infuse to just
that's why his
create
pants
one
keep
spoon.
moving around. It's
Not how it works.
Just one spoon. No, I feel like if you're
like giving
leaking,
birth to a sperm, like one big, like I'm trying to picture like a golf ball sized head on a sperm.
But it's got Josh's head on a little tail.
oh yeah,
It's just like wide-eyed and innocent, bub.
no, it's
Like
just
a
sitting
fucking
there.
puffer fish.
If it could talk, it'd be saying, "Let's lick a tit." That's what it'd be saying.
No, it'd come out with a cigarette in its mouth and a Jack Daniels and go, "Hey, how you going?"
And still have a 6-pack. Yeah, bitch.
And tiny balls.
And tiny balls. Yes.
No, it's funny because my sex ed personally at school, man, we didn't cover any of this shit.
No.
It was like Catholic school. It was like, use a condom.
Don't.
I was going to say, what is yeah.
Dude, I didn't even use a condom. I seriously, my sex ed was split the boys, split the girls. The boys learned about what a dick was. The girls learned about what a vagina was, and then go play.
Yeah. So our teacher would play Sun in the Stubble. I don't know if you remember this TV
Hang
show.
on.
Sun in the Stubble
just-
during sex ed.
Your teacher is in sex ed and playing Sun in the Stubble.
No. So Sun in the Stubble was an old film, an old TV show filmed here in South Australia.
It's a video.
About Kapunda. So it was about this kid that grew up in Kapunda on a farm, and he just, his life in general was pretty boring as shit, but it was all right, I guess. But yeah, that's what he'd put on an old TV that had a back and
With it like on VHS.
yeah,
Like the way you worded it was like your teacher made you play a game.
Yes.
during
Hang on.
sex ed.
So did this film have
And that's
any,
why he joined the army.
did this have any relevance to sex ed, or
Nah,
was he
man.
just filling in the time of
Nah,
sex
he'd
ed?
just sit there on his desk reading or sleeping.
Okay, so he just made the time pass by putting a film on for you.
Yeah.
Had a couple of those.
So you guys learnt nothing.
Yeah.
That explains why you missed the whole foreplay thing.
That's the whole problem, though, with like private Christian schools, though. They just fuck shit
Well,
up.
here's one. Tim, did you go private or public?
Oh, I am a product of the public school education system.
He's a doctor.
Fucking A.
We're a nothing.
Yeah.
How?
We're all private education bums, and you're a doctor. And my parents don't think. Okay, so my family dynamic. Okay, I'm going to say this because they'll never
think we've got
listen to
enough
this
time.
podcast. So my brother and sister are pastors in Tailem Bend here in South Australia, but they live in Adelaide.
His brother and sister are not married, by the way. He means his
Brother-in-law, yeah. And
I'm glad you clarified that because that was
anyway,
not what I was thinking.
yeah, sorry. Anyway, they're
What are you doing, stepbrother?
I'm stuck in the couch.
Pornhub.
We got 17,000 views on the last one.
Anyway, they didn't want to move to Tailem Bend because of the schooling of their child, and they didn't think it was gonna that she was gonna get the same level of education going from a private school here in Adelaide to a public school in Tailem Bend. And I sit down with them, and I'm like, "You're a fucking moron," because there's a fucking curriculum that the state has to adhere to, private or public. Yes, they can tweak it, but there is still a basic minimum that they have to meet at either schools.
They all do a NAPLAN test.
Exactly. So it's like, why
But
are you
it's-
using this as an excuse not to move to where your job is?
I got really lucky. Well, like when I was in high school and when I was going through school, I got really lucky to have you're going to drink that peanut butter shit?
It's actually a liqueur. He calls it a scotch, but it's not. It's a liqueur. It's a pussy drink.
I mean, so is this. This is actually a liqueur. American honey is a liqueur.
Okay, so let's
But
get
it's
back
fucking
to the
good.
topic on hand.
Yeah, we will definitely do this
anyway.
digression.
Back in America, in
Canada.
Sorry, Canada. Fucking hell.
Down in Canada,
Sorry,
eh?
that was offensive. What I just did. Back in Canada,
You know, when I was down in Canada, I had a good time, eh?
was that a good or a
that
bad
close?
impression?
That was awful.
That's terrible. Oh, I haven't done a lot of Canada.
Oh, hey. You got to get it with you, Andy.
What?
Exactly. That's the problem with Canadian
gotta
accents.
get with
is
it,
no
eh?
one actually understands it.
Was that dialect? Or was that just like fucking
That was very
rigid?
So that was very well. We call it Newfie. It's the east coast of Canada. They are essentially an entire island of bogans. It's fantastic. I
wanna
love it
move
over there.
So South Australia.
So wild.
Anyway,
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Kids, school.
I got lucky in high school. I had a fantastic teacher who actually pushed me to do homework and do my actually become something. If I hadn't had her pushing me and making me actually do my work, I probably would have been a absolute useless person. Quite honestly, because she actually taught me that I needed to try if I wanted to become anything.
fuck, I need more of those.
Oh yeah, and she so she's actually, I mean, she was fresh out of school, still thought that people actually had some good in them, kind of thing. And that got knocked out of her pretty fast, unfortunately. But not before I graduated. But and the reason that I became actually cared about school was because of her. So because of her is why I got accepted in university, basically. But yeah, I mean, it's public school, private school. I don't know. I will probably be sending my kids to private school purely because it's more convenient of where I live. But
Yeah, and you're a doctor. You got to adhere to the stigma.
The biggest.
if there was, so I can walk to the private school, I can't walk to the public school where I live. And I am lazy. And if I can push my kids in a stroller down the hill and they can end up in school, it's like bowling. I'm open the gate and just hope.
aim them.
The next step is to get your jet in to take them to school, and that's just a little bit too
A
hard.
helicopter.
Isn't it, Apache?
Huey, friends. I have friends. More than one.
Black Hawk.
Ryan doesn't understand this. Friends.
Yeah.
You mean people that mooch off of you? Because that's all these motherfuckers ever do.
I brought the alcohol.
Yeah, we're mooching over him actually.
Case and point.
It's a pleasant change from a guest, actually. That's a pleasant change. Thank you.
nice.
Thank you,
It's
Dr. Tim.
nice. Oh, I was going to say, in relation to the whole
To be fair, it
curriculum
was on
thing.
sale. Literally everything we're drinking was on sale.
To be fair, I'm cheap as fuck.
I got a Dan Murphy's card for a reason.
Nice.
You did actually, from our last podcast, comment afterwards about how much alcohol we drank.
Oh Jesus! You guys went through a carton of port, and then you kept drinking. Like
I consider it a sport.
I had a couple of beers, and I'm like, oh, I should slow down. Jeez.
Look, it's not healthy, but
Yeah, no. We've toned it down a little bit.
we back it up every week.
Meanwhile, there's a half bottle of honey, 3/4 a bottle of Maker's Mark, and Sheepdog just cracked, as well as
Plus
6
the-
Jim Beams and fucking 6
John
beers.
Boston's and some Carlton drafts that I bought. And
Anyway, as I always say, drink responsibly.
That's true.
Well, I'm not driving home. Josh,
Yeah.
you?
I'm under.
yeah,
It's
I got
three-
a fair trek.
Isn't it 3 in the first hour, cans, and then a bottle every hour after that?
No, it's 2 drinks in the first hour. Drinks, not cans.
Or as Josh recommends, it's okay to have.
And you're little.
It's
It's
okay.
like half a can for you.
1.4.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a beer with lunch.
It is.
That's what Josh says.
It is 100% okay to have a bit of that.
Josh's beer with lunch is go to the pub and don't go back to work.
Nothing wrong with that.
So it
Again.
should be.
If I wasn't a doctor, I could do that.
Yeah.
But it really is frowned upon when you go see patients with beer on the breath.
do you have to have like a 0%?
Surely.
No. No
Can
way.
you be like fucked up and go to
No.
work?
No, you'd be allowed to have like, under legal limit.
Is there rules or is there like grey areas?
Can you be high?
Can I like walk in with a spliff in one hand and a VB in the other in a dressing gown and still see patients?
I feel like this is all covered blanket with the oath. Am I right?
No, actually.
No?
Because no one's dumb enough to do that. No. Okay, so, oh, Jesus Christ. How do I explain this? No, is probably the start. If you're in, there are a couple of case studies of in small rural towns where there's no one around and there's only one doctor, and that doctor went out for dinner and had a glass of wine and then had to get called to the hospital. That's okay.
So you can be fucked up in that scene.
Well, if it takes you a glass of wine, we're going to pull the sheepdog away. But
it depends on the size of the glass.
a responsible glass because we're doctors.
Yes, we are doctors.
A yard glass?
Well, you said you were going to start calling yourself a doctor.
Fucking oath I am.
No, so there
Dr.
are
Ryan.
Okay, there are cases.
there are cases where yes, technically, but no. If you're on call, you are 0. If you're at work, obviously you're 0. You need to be able to make decisions, man. You know, the last thing you want to do is make a decision and kill somebody and know that it happened because of you were shit-faced or you were even tipsy. Like I when I'm on call, I do not at all drink, like period. It's just,
Yeah, on a serious note, I'd be the same. Fucking
yeah.
oath.
Cause like if I'll have a, like when I'm on call, cause I'll be the senior on and I'll have a junior doctor call me with this like panicked, high pitched falsetto voice of,
Mr. Krusty, your burgers are ready.
I dropped them in the deep fat fryer.
There's blood everywhere.
Well, you know, like the scariest one is usually when they sort of start giving you a handover. It's like, so there's a 47-year-old and he was, can you come in? And you're just like, I was asleep. All right, I'm on my way.
That's when you got to like close the lid on the lube bottle and fucking exit out of incognito mode. Fuck's sake.
Well, we actually, so it's funny because the obstetricians always have a joke where it's like, do I have enough time to go to the bathroom? Do I have enough time to put on like shoes or am I wearing sandals? Do I have enough time to get changed or am I coming into the hospital in like boxers and a shirt so I can put scrubs on to immediately assist the woman who's giving birth? Like how much time do I have kind of thing? And I mean, so I live about, if I inappropriately drive my car, probably 7 minutes from the hospital. And if I absolutely need to, I can do it in 5. And I've only done that once. And it was because we had a 4-vehicle motor vehicle accident and we were just absolutely overwhelmed and they needed every person that they could possibly get their hands on. But you know, it's a risk benefit kind of concept is, you know, do I have 30 seconds to take and go look after myself, or do I need to be at the hospital like 10 minutes ago? So but no, I never drink I even make sure that like my wife doesn't have any plans or anything like that to make sure. So if I'm gone and then I just disappear for 5 hours, it's not a problem. The kids are looked after and things like that. Cause that happens. I mean, I'll get a call at midnight and I'll, walk back in the house at 7:30 and, oh, you're here. I thought you weren't going to come back today or, yeah.
I've got a question for you, actually. This is going to sound weird, but do you get a bit of a kick out of the whole rush and then like treating, say like a complex injury?
I'm not going to lie and say no. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's you get the sort of, it's nice to fix the problem kind of thing. At the same time, you get the exact opposite if the person croaks on you. Like if you go in there and you're doing everything you can and they still die, you feel like ass the next day.
Yeah.
And you feel awful. That's where a lot of the burnout actually from doctors comes from. Like, we either work too hard or somebody will die that we worked for, 3 hours to save them and they still died or something like that. Or, I had the worst one I've ever had was there was a woman who wanted to kill herself and she ended up trying to kill her whole family. And we were working on the 8-year-old because I was the only survivor. And that was 6.5 hours waiting for the helicopter to come because it was, crap weather and all that kind of stuff. And it was 6.5 hours waiting for the helicopter to come and retrieve this person to take him to, a bigger hospital. And we had to do CPR and we had to do drugs and we had to and that was a bad one. And I still get and that was 4 years ago. I still get flashbacks to that.
Yeah. So, kids make things different, man.
Kids are completely different. Everything's different with a kid. We're more than willing to do way more than we ever would for anybody else when a kid's involved, and that kind of stuff. But it's, we'll pull out all the stops for a kid.
Did the kid make it?
No. So the whole family died. Well, the ex-husband's still alive. So, but we almost saved one kid. She was alive when she left the hospital, our hospital, got into the helicopter. She had a heartbeat. And she was producing urine, so that heartbeat was actually functional. But she wasn't breathing on her own. We had a tube in her throat. Like we'd done, like she was probably going to die. But we tell ourselves that we did as much as we could because she was still alive when she left our hospital. And she died in the ICU, the PICU.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah. So I mean that was like, but again, that was the 9:00 at night. You're starting to think about going to bed and you get a panicked phone call that this is on the way to the ED and you're trying to beat an ambulance to the emergency room. And I still didn't get there faster, and that was hours and hours and hours. And then, when they get on the helicopter, you're still amped. Like you're just running on adrenaline at that point. Mm-hmm. Your brain's like, you don't remember what you did, because at the end of it all, it's like, oh, who's going to write the note? Like who's going to type the medical note for this patient? And you're like, I don't remember half the stuff we did. Does anyone take a photo so we can at least like document which tubes we put where and stuff like that? And then,
Do you have a success story that stands out the most that you can say?
Honestly, it's actually horrible. You don't remember the successes. Mm-hmm. I've had a couple of good stroke saves. We've had a couple of acute MI, guys having heart attacks that we, gave that like clot busting drug to and broke up the clot obviously enough to the point that their heart, like they're still running around and doing fine kind of thing. But you don't remember the saves. You don't remember the people that you helped. You remember the people that you failed.
That drives you to do better.
Yeah, I mean, It drives you to do better, but my specialty is adult internal medicine. But because I do everything, like I'm in the ED, and if I'm looking after kids and looking after trauma cases and kids and stuff like that, if I'm, that's what I remember. But then I go up on, I work on the inpatient ward. I'm looking after 20, 30 people at any given time. And yeah, they all get better and they go home and their pneumonia is fixed or there's, this and that and the other thing, their strokes get better. We fix them up. But you don't remember any of those. Mm-hmm.
Is that the trauma?
Oh yeah.
Human brain latches onto trauma like it's a fucking ecstasy pill, really.
Yeah. You remember, I mean, you remember the bad stuff. You try not to, but you remember the bad stuff.
Because your brain's trying to learn from it.
Yeah.
Or justify
your actions.
Yeah,
you guys-
and we did learn from that. I mean, we all learned something from those nights and those bad days, and every bad thing that happens, every person that we didn't do as good a job on or whatever, is we remember what we did and we remember things that we missed, or because no one's perfect, but yeah, you remember stuff every time. So
What about doctors' well-being after these incidences?
What support do you guys get?
Is that
we had a counselor come up from Brisbane to talk to us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't go to that because she was not a doctor. And she was.
Is it like dentists calling themselves doctors? You're like, I'm a doctor. No, he's a dentist.
Yeah, I'm not that kind of doctor. No, I think it was a, they sent out a trauma counselor or something like that, 2 days later to try to make you relive the events and, ask you all the standardized questions about it. But realistically, the three of us that were involved in that case, we all went out for coffee the next day. We sat down, we talked briefly. It's most of medicine is peer support.
get pissed, make dark jokes as they call
Yeah,
it?
we make, god awful, dark, horrible. Medical humor is just the worst in the world. And people will hear it and people will listen to us making these comments and they think that we're just the most horrible people in the world. And it's 100% a coping strategy. It's just a coping mechanism to deal with your day-to-day life. You see the worst in everybody, every single person that comes in the front door. It's they're having the worst day of their life. And you still need to go home at the end of the day. They're hooked up to machines and tubes, keeping them alive. And you have to go home and make dinner. So no, we basically just rely on peer support, and we talk to each other and we ask each other how we're going. And, there's also common that, when something bad happens, we know that person's going to be suffering. So we'll, try to make sure that they're on the easier shifts for a little while, or they have a couple of days off, or we put them on non-clinical days and make them do an audit or something. So they just sit in front of a computer and relax and not have to think clinically for a few days or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
I can definitely attest to the peer support side of things working. I mean, I, by any means, haven't had the same amount of traumatic experiences as yourself, Tim, or Josh, yourself in the army. But, I mean, for me, the most traumatic thing was when I got divorced. And, like, my work at the time offered a counselling service for free, and I took that up. And it was good from the perspective you could talk to someone who wasn't biased. So you talk to your friends, they're going to be like, they're just on your side by default. Talk to someone who wasn't biased, yeah, that was cool, just to air your dirty laundry sort of thing. But the best thing for me in terms of dealing with it was talking to blokes who had been there and done that and been through a divorce and
100%.
gone through the exact same thing, because you're like, what they're saying, well, they've been through it, so they understand.
You can relate.
Yeah.
And they were able to give advice on how to cope with things, and you could pick and choose what was good advice and what wasn't. But like the 3 or 4 different blokes I spoke to, somehow you sort of formed a strategy out of all that advice better than listening to someone who had like basically a canned response.
Ryan, he's basically shitting on you and me being there for him.
I mean,
I got
Thanks,
no,
man.
actually, you
Thanks,
got
man.
divorced before me. I can't remember. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So Josh got divorced before me.
Oh, so I was one of those dudes that gave you advice.
Well, there you go. Well, you can be included in that shit, man.
Josh and advice.
hey man, like I've always leaned on you guys for advice, which is weird.
Buy a 308.
Because that's all you ever say.
Well, maybe it's good advice.
My marriage is breaking down. I don't know what to do. Buy a 308.
I bet you if you bought a 308, all your problems would be solved.
Have you tried reloading? That'll take your mind off it.
Wait, I'm just going to interject here. I wanted to discuss if you had any more thought, Dr. Tim, about what caliber and what gun you might purchase. in the future.
I have.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm actually going to be, permitted without filling out 1,000 pieces of paperwork to own a firearm.
Citizen status.
No, so I have thought that something stupid big like a 308 is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling you on
I'm
that.
thinking. I'm listening.
At the same time, there is definitely something to be said about a, cheaper firearm to start with.
You're a doctor.
Go Howard.
That's out the window straight away. Bigger is better, and more expensive.
Yeah, but
is
you
better.
can't buy 50s in this country.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, not without reasonable reason.
I'm pretty sure that there's a Skippy in my yard is not a good reason to own a 50. And I've only fired one, and it just hurt. So, I mean,
Yeah, I'll get you.
Yeah.
50 is overboard, but I mean, look, don't go buying a Howler for your first rifle, right? Like, let's step it up a little bit.
well, actually, the biggest one that I'm looking at now is not just buying a complete system, like not buying something right off the rack and just going nuts. I have multiple friends in the US who are into firearms, and they like the component concept, buy this, buy that, buy the part, buy the, buy. And of course, over there you buy, everybody starts with an AR and works their way up from there kind of thing. And, there's the concept of carbon fiber barrels and, light receivers, buying reasonable components that make a sturdy base that I can still actually walk around with and will give me some good support without,
I like your thinking.
yeah.
I like it.
But it's just the sheer concept of do I want to buy, do you buy the Ferrari as your first car?
Yes.
For your L plates,
Yes.
or do you,
Just get a Howard.
No, because who's owned the most rifles here? Josh.
And
But
I
he's
bought
owned
Ferraris
a
the
lot.
whole time.
Right, so he's like Ferrari every time, and he keeps swapping out because he doesn't like something.
No, don't fucking put words in my
Don't
mouth.
make me bring up your Seiko A7 right
I
now,
will
my
put
friend.
something else in your mouth in a second.
Right.
So I get what you mean, and I'm thinking like if you wanted to start small and economical, a 223 AI build is definitely something that.
Why? No.
you should probably
Get an
probably
out of the
look at.
box product, not a build.
No, he
Jesus,
was
fucking-
just talking about building.
honestly, actually, the AIX actually is the platform that I was going to start with, and the 223 barrels. You can get the carbon 308, 223, and something else actually.
just
pretty
buy a fucking Howard.
for the AIX platform to start with.
Yeah.
How often are you going to shoot?
Well, it depends on how often I'm actually have time off. I don't know.
Whenever you're down in SA, we'll take you out.
Oh, that's the given. That's a
Yeah,
given.
well, yeah, but have you ever? I really don't want to find out what Virgin Australia is going to say if I rock up with a rifle in a box.
As long as
Oh,
you,
no,
if you call them beforehand,
Bro,
you're fine.
Piece of piss.
You'd declare it and you adhere to like the travel regulations, lockbox, and all this other shit.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But if it fails a COVID test, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they going to swab my barrel?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what my barrel every time.
Having said that, Dad actually reminded
Just because there's
me.
pus coming out of that is bad.
Oh, mate, I got the clap in 86.
You weren't
You
born
weren't
in
even
86,
born in
you
86.
dickhead.
That's why it's funny.
Not though. It's fucking
So your dad
factually
had the
impossible. There was only one person born in alive in 86
There was only one person alive in 86.
in this
We're
room.
all brothers
In this room.
and sisters. Work that out. Fuck it.
I always knew you were a girl.
Anyway, let's get back to it. Dad, this reminded me actually. Dad,
Shout out to Potter.
Dad actually said you were interested in buying his AI chassis that he's got an AI in 308. It's sort of like a high or a custom gun anyway. It's a Madco barrel and a Rem 700 action on a Accuracy International platform. He said that you'd be interested in that actually, and I sort of argued with him and said, "Don't fucking get rid of that. It's a 700 action. I'll use it." But-
Well, I think the problem was that if I did take Poita's AI, he'd probably strip every part of it and just give me that matte black chassis, and it would just be empty, and it'd be like, "Here, going nuts." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." So that's actually what got me down the line of thinking about parting something up. Is oh well, he's just going to give me a stripped off nothing. I may as well start from scratch with
Well, look, to be honest, actually, if you bought that or Dad gave it to you, it would be the only thing that I'd change if he gave it to you as a whole is I'd remove that barrel because it's what we call a bull barrel. It's ridiculous, and I'd put something a little more carry friendly. So like
Lighter?
the barrel itself weighs fucking
With tassels?
probably like 10 kilos. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, but who says I'm going to walk with this? I mean, I'm going to get out of the truck. I'm going to take 5 steps. I'm going to lie down on the ground, and then the kangaroos come to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just say, "Here, Skippy."
Yeah.
I've watched the TV show.
Yeah,
Well, there's no doubt with that
it's
platform.
like Lassie but different.
Yeah, less legs.
There's no doubt with that platform you can stretch the legs out. Like, you know, you can hit 800 a K, probably a K if you're a good shot, 800 if you're pretty new to it. You'd be able to do that. So, yeah, you could. You wouldn't have to walk with it if you
Well, I
didn't
mean,
want to.
I can't see more than 400.
Mate, it depends on what you want to do. Like, what do you want the rifle for? Do you want to?
Do you know what though? Now that I think about it, we've all shot that AI out to 600 ish,
It's been pretty easy.
and it was fucking easy. Like
Yeah.
each one of us got down behind it, smack, hit the gong. Next person, smack, hit the gong. Like you can't miss almost with that thing. I would like to, before he gets rid of it or gives it to Tim or does whatever he's going to do, just stretch it out as far as we possibly can.
Stretch a K.
We got to do it. We all got to try at a K. Surely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it has to be done.
On a 300 mil gong.
What's the record nowadays? 4 or 5K?
Oh, yeah, look, there's some fucking outstanding shots that guys are pushing.
It's technology.
4K,
man.
I think.
Technology.
Okay, so
makes
where
it.
can we do that in Australia?
Not on any range in SA. You'd have to do it on private block. And to be honest, you're not hitting consistently. Well, I think the last guy that did it hit 4 consecutive rounds. I don't know how many times it took him to get on target, hit the 4 rounds, and how many times he then proceeded to miss. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't show that data though. They go, "Oh, this guy made this shot but they don't show the 3 hours of them setting up the shot beforehand.
Yeah, look, and then the wind change and this and that change is fucking ludicrous. If you're shooting 800 meters, you're a fucking good shot.
And like, if you're hunting,
Consistent.
you don't need that.
Look, 600 meters is probably where you want to be at with your dope for hunting. If I'm going to be honest, if you're going for deer and things
if it's
like that,
600 meters, like, I mean, if you're in a massive valley, then yeah, but
No.
even then, you'd want to get in as close as you can.
no, I reckon average sort of,
So when you say as
Average
close as
is-
you can, does that mean you have to walk?
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Hang on.
Would
I
get
think what
mon-
you're looking for
would
is
I
like
get
a
mon on my
drone
boots, though?
strike. That's like this thing where you paint a target and then something else flies closer.
No. So I mean, when I was looking at the new Range Rover, you can get one, that rifle that you guys are talking about, like the most expensive rifle in the world.
The 700 nitro.
Yeah.
No, but the company that makes it,
Rigby? No. Holland.
Holland and
Holland
Holland.
and Holland.
So
yeah.
there is a Range Rover Holland and Holland edition,
Really?
and it comes with the shooting case in the
Are you
back.
fucking serious?
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's the Range Rover Holland.
Talk
and Holland.
about a waste of money. Jesus Christ.
No, it's not.
Paying for the label.
It's got a shooting fucking thing in the back.
Yeah. So, but
What's the price of this particular vehicle?
well, I mean. So anyway, let's say the 500 Club would be involved.
Yeah.
So no, but the Holland and Holland Range Rover, you know, it has the setup in the back with the 2 chairs and the platform. Because I mean, you wouldn't want to sit on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you might get dirty.
Don't that.
I mean,
Can't
so
have that.
I mean, if I'm going to be shooting stuff, I mean, like your trucks all have air conditioned seats, right?
Negative. Because
Well, they have seats and they have air conditioning, but not air conditioned seats.
But like, it doesn't blow cold air up your ass.
No.
Well, how do you survive out there?
This is why I want to upgrade to either a 200 or a 79, even though a 79 doesn't
I prefer a
have it.
human blowing
Do you know
smoke
what?
up
I
my ass.
purposefully did not turn my air conditioner on today just to see how fucking hard nut I am.
How'd that work out for
So
you?
in other
preconditioning
words,
yourself.
I'm
in other words,
preconditioning
the
myself.
fuel light came on and he was trying to make it home. So he had to
I had to go up a hill.
money.
I had to go up a hill, so I had to kill the aircon.
Fuck.
No, legitimately, I'm
A cheapskate.
that is true, a cheapskate. And do you know what? Fucking everyone should be a cheapskate. Maybe they wouldn't be as in debt as they are. But do you know what? I am shit scared of becoming a softcock. That's like that's my thing. Not that my cock will go soft.
But have you ever just decided that accepting it might be better?
No, because I don't like the idea of that yet. Maybe in 5 years' time when my body's just not going to let me do anything. But
I survived the drive home without air conditioning. I'm a man.
No, it's no. I wound the window down. It wasn't about surviving the drive. It was about
You had a
conditioning
window?
myself because I'm wearing longs and longs in fucking a hot summer day. So
It's only 270,000.
for what?
The Holland
Holland
Range Rover.
edition.
That's not bad.
That's all right. Pocket change.
US?
Oh yeah, that is US.
Mm.
So 400-ish before taxes.
That's all right.
That's half a mil.
That's
not
quite
bad.
reasonable, really.
I have one word. I have one word for you. 200.
Oh no, that's before options.
Oh, so that's like a base model.
Yeah.
So you only get air conditioning.
So then
Before you
it's,
customize anything.
so there's about 30. Okay, so there's
200 series, you get aircon
so
seats.
307. so 37,000 more for the guns.
What? Hang on.
You get guns in it.
You get guns with.
Yeah, you get two.
Sick.
Oh, holy fuck.
Oh, but it's got a nice stereo.
Now we're talking.
You have to have some sweet tunes while you're smashing rabbits.
Oh, and the pistols have a wood paneled storage bin.
Dude, anyone who's buying that kind of a vehicle is not going 4x4ing at all.
They're wearing tweed and they probably are an aristocrat.
Dude, they drive down the fucking bitumized road to someone's house, then get out, and they're like, oh, okay.
Then they have their servants release the pheasants.
They're not servants anymore after the lawsuit.
Yeah, they're underpaid refugees.
They're friends of the family. Yeah. Anyway,
Let's talk about the monetary system. That's the oldest form of slavery, or the best form of slavery.
Monetary system. That's not slavery.
Oh, fuck off. You have to. So, the old days when you're a slave, the owner would have to, well, yeah, your employer would have to pay you, clothe you, feed you, home you. At the moment, you have to do all that yourself.
Hang on. Are you,
The
saying,
monetary
Are you
system.
advocating for slavery?
It sounds like you're advocating for slavery here.
there's a flag in the southern U.S. that I'm sure you're going to put on the top of your truck any day now.
How is the monetary system slavery?
Okay, so it forces you to work for minimum wage to feed yourself, home yourself, and clothe yourself.
Oh, so you want to be a communist?
No, nothing you just said is right.
Incorrect.
You want to be
No,
a communist?
because you don't have to work. You can go on the dole. You're not forced to work under minimum wage. You
Well, you
can
do-
work on whatever wage you want to earn.
You can't just go on the dole these days, man. You actually
Absolutely, you can.
You actually have to go for job interviews and then prove that you're going for job interviews,
Nope.
etc.
They
etc.
wrought the fuck out of
Do you know how you bypass that?
they might
All you got to
rule
do is
it.
go see a GP and get signed off as having a medical condition. You don't have to meet any of those standards.
Actually,
Know it because I did it.
Debunk one of Ryan's bullshit things, please. Go.
I did it. I have done it. So can you fill me in here?
It is very difficult to get a medical exemption from Centrelink for more than about 2 months at a time.
Maybe it was 2 months because I actually didn't go through with it. I was like, fuck that shit.
No, so getting on like permanent disability is actually surprisingly difficult.
Shit wasn't permanent disability that I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh no. But like so going permanent disability is
Should have
actually
been.
surprisingly difficult. But anything over a month is very difficult to do the paperwork on, and it's almost impossible to prove. Centrelink will properly investigate you.
Wow. That's interesting to know.
Yeah, so you do actually have to try to be on the dole these days.
Well, I guess I'm proven wrong in that point.
Well, there you go.
Not try hard.
Debunked Ryan number
No,
one.
well, the reason I say that is because when I went through the whole like bullshit stuff that I went through, I filled out bits and pieces of paperwork, went on a mental health plan, and like straight away in front of me was everyone trying to put me on payment schemes.
Yeah, but that was for X amount of time. It's not permanent.
Well, there was no indication of a termination point at all in any of the paperwork that I was given.
But it would be the continuation paperwork after that. So there's an initial set of papers that you fill out for GP. So GP mental health care plans
Yeah.
are an initial set of paperwork, and then there's a separate set of paperwork to continue on that. And then after a certain amount of time, it becomes a permanent disability, which is a completely different application process.
So could one rot that system?
I mean, it's,
Like, How
It would
how
take
if I was to
effort.
say that I was severely depressed to the point where I could not work, how do you disprove that? You can't.
You,
Call me.
You can't. Because you'd go through the loops. Like you, especially in this day and age, if someone's saying I've got depression, and then as a GP you turn around and say no, you don't.
but you'd have to have. I mean, see, so at that point, it would actually not just be a GP doing it. There would be multiple psychiatrists involved, and you'd have to have failed every treatment option available for depression, and you'd actually have to demonstrate that you were trying the treatment. So, like, if they told you to go to counseling 5 times a week and you only went 4, they would look at it and go, "You're not really trying."
So it is harder now because like there's this misconception, especially what sounds like a misconception, especially in our generation, of they're just fucking dull bludgers.
Nah.
It actually
like-
is. It's not hard to get on Centrelink initially for like initial payments and assistance and help, and like the start of
Yeah.
it is not hard. It's the continuation of it that's actually very difficult.
Unless you're a male.
It is
in which
designed
case
as a
it's
safety
fucking
net.
hard.
Really.
Nah, unless you're a female, it's
It's
like
easy.
you just pop out 5 kids to 3 different blokes
Dude.
and you get permanent Centrelink forever.
Oh, it's like with Centrelink, and this is speaking from personal
matter with
experience. Like
What you like?
dude,
Is there something wrong with what I just said?
the entire system is rigged. The entire system is rigged to be in favor of a female. I got, and this is like I had relationship problems, and then in that, as a result of that, I was living in a different house of my wife. Still am. So when she called up because everything's linked now in your MyGov shit. So when she called up to notify of a change of address, that flagged me as no longer being a guardian of my son. So on the paperwork the government has now, I am no longer a guardian of my son. So if something happens, I am only classed as a pickup parent, not as a guardian. And that was an automatic switch over that all of the government systems have that is a bias towards the female.
So you're just arguing against your own point that you put across before.
Which was what?
Centrelink's easy.
No, that's what I was saying. Like I was my
Definitely not easy.
And I said that my point was anecdotal in the fact that my personal anecdotal experiences were that it was easy to start the ball rolling, and then that was trumped on with what Dr. Tim was saying. What I'm saying is the system in general, when it comes to being a male, it's total fucking bullshit because you're automatically marked as a lesser purely because the females get given
It's
the
male
So I'd
privilege,
say when
bloke.
it comes to kids, though.
when it comes to
Because
kids. Yeah, not about
typically-
unemployment, but when it comes to the
typically-
kids.
Typically, the female is going to be the primary carer. Not always
Really?
the case, by any.
That's very
But you-
fucking
it's
1950s of you, Caleb.
Settle down, mate. When
What
you
if I
have
want to
kids, we'll have
become?
this discussion.
What if I want to become a fucking stay-at-home dad? You're going to judge me?
I will judge you because your kids are going to end up in a car with the windows cracked while you do whatever the fuck you want, as you've demonstrated on multiple podcasts.
I'll put them in a little man satchel bag at the chest and carry them away round while.
That's very sexist of you. Why is it a man satchel?
Yeah, why can't it be a purse?
okay.
Yeah.
We shall call it a pouch.
what is this is my child pouch.
Anyway, I just think that's a very generalized thing. That
do you do baby pouches?
the,
IKEA. What did you say? I didn't hear.
What did I say? Cuckoo.
Who the fuck is Cody Coo?
Cuckoo?
Cuckoo?
Who am I thinking of?
You're fucking
I'm going to
cuckoo.
listen back to this and be like, what the
fuck?
fuck happened?
I believe
The
it.
entire episode.
Anyway, in general, I would say females end up caring for the kids primarily. That is still a thing.
I would disagree with that because while
That's your default position on everything.
not in the sense that females would. No, that's not my default for everything. I
Yes.
think that with
Generally it
adequate
is.
justification, yes. But I would say that while the
Convince me
females,
why.
while the females may be a primary carer in the sense of being available, I think eliminating the rights of a guardian from a male automatically is under the assumption that the father is not a significant element in the picture.
Oh, there's no doubt there's some bias in the
but-
system.
That happened because generally females are the primary.
No, that
birds.
happened because of a default in the system.
Yeah,
Like
it's a glitch.
but females typically aren't the primary carriers. If you look at it on a global scale, it's shared.
No, that's not.
Yeah,
No.
No. On a
No.
global scale, 100% not.
No, no way.
No way.
Like India, there's what? There's like 2 billion people or some shit. All the women are fucking pretty much, or most of the women will be primary care.
Maybe global scale is not the right word for that. Probably
No.
like a. I'm like, because when I say
Very-
global scale, I mean
is-
what I'm
like,
thinking.
well,
I'm thinking like
when you-
Sweden and Holland and those sorts of places.
So,
not
so
necessarily.
really, really enlightened countries when it comes to looking after children.
Well, first world
and
countries.
Australia.
First world countries is probably what I'm.
All right,
what I'm thinking.
let's just
Yeah,
cut the
first-
horse shit. Women are designed to look after kids and be nurturers.
So is that justification for being cut off to your child?
No, it isn't. But that's just your one anecdotal case.
Do you have breasts?
No, it's not anecdotal. It's the
I
system.
do, but they don't produce milk, Josh. I
I'm not
cannot
saying
sustain a
this
child.
isn't this
There's
isn't an
actually
anecdotal
medications that I could
experience.
give you. When we were talking about medications earlier to stop erections, I could make you lactate too if you want.
Caleb
it would
wants
take a bit of time.
more than anything to become a woman.
I just
I
want to
can do that.
I just want to breastfeed Josh.
He's not even joking.
I don't even think I get
It's
in
a
trouble for
dominance thing that
describing
he has.
If you guys stick with me for 6 months, at the end of 6 months, Josh will be sucking on your tit and getting something out of it.
Oh dear. I mean, he's the size.
Josh
of
just wants to be nurtured, and Caleb wants to dominate a man.
I just want to be in between your bosoms, mate. Just
mate. I'm available for motorboating anytime.
Oh, actually, I learnt something the other day. There you go. It's my new fucking catchphrase.
Learn a new word.
In LGBTI, they're actually trying to
Q,
get
you
rid
forgot
of
Q.
the
What's the
whatever it
I
is.
thought it was LGBTQA.
I don't know.
It's
but
I and
they-
the plus.
the
There's
I?
a plus too.
They're getting rid of the
Plus 2 or just plus?
No,
What's
just
the
plus.
Q now?
What's the 2?
Q is queer,
Yeah, but I thought that was the L and the G.
lesbian,
Yeah, what does queer mean?
LG.
I thought you weren't supposed to-
lesbian, gay, bi,
Doesn't that cover all of it?
LGBT, trans, Q, queer,
What is the difference? between
I. What's fucking I?
What's it's
Indifferent.
Intersex?
Intersex.
Intersex.
Yes.
But
Plus.
it's like-
What's plus?
Plus is like a generic like everything else.
Yeah, but see, that's why they're wanting to
So
get
do
rid
I
of
count as everything else?
the
I don't
T. Okay.
Okay, we've
yeah,
got
we
off
have a
topic.
learned man here.
Josh
We've
learned.
gotta-
Josh
we gotta-
learned something this week. We're learning.
sorry.
What was?
What did you learn?
What did you learn?
We got to stick within the bounds here, but they're trying to get rid of the T, or they want the T to be taken out.
As in for transvestite.
Transgender.
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 Because so it's offensive to fucking. So it's offensive to. Let me get this right. Which I don't think I can. I can't remember it because I didn't pay that much attention to it. But it's like offensive to one of the fucking groups in there because a female can't be transgender or some shit. I can't remember. But yeah, they're trying to lobby to get rid of the T. And that's just fucking weird.
Private school education system.
What?
Trans female.
Because they
lumbering
said
to
some
get-
stuff and some people are offended.
I don't get it. Oh no, actually, so a transgender can't. Oh wow, it's fucking complicated. I don't know, have sex with a dude or have sex with a female and be in the same category. I can't remember, man.
Oh, I
it's
think
cooked.
I vaguely know what you're talking about.
It's cooked. I can't remember.
Can you elaborate, Caleb?
We're gonna have to like block Tim from this like whole segment here and cut it out because I'm sure you don't want to be like.
So can we are we able to talk about
No, we're not. He
We're
said
not.
this at the start.
no like
This is taboo.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
This is
What is the legalities like around?
Taboo.
So if a male biological
male
male comes into your ward that identifies as a female,
No, we're
do
gonna
you
have
treat
to
them
edit
as a
this
male
out,
or a
right?
female?
So Queensland Health is inclusive of all. If you identify as a female, identify as a male, identify as whatever you want, that's how you get treated.
What?
So, well, if you're a transgender female, so you present yourself and identify yourself as a male, then we'll use whatever pronoun you want to use.
But
he
and
and
the
him.
treatment itself has
Well,
to be
so-
gender specific.
There's always the difficulty of medical therapy and transgenderism because a lot of the things that I do are exactly the same for males and females. Like, treating asthma. Doesn't matter if you're male or female.
But like a chick that came in with testicular cancer.
Well, so and that's actually the complicated thing is that you need to know some of these things, because if a male comes in who hasn't had their cervical cancer screening, that's a problem. If you have a transgender female who's now identifying as a male, but they still have a cervix, they can still get cervical cancer. So you need to know if they've had their cancer screenings, and then you need to know if they've had all the preventative health checkups and things for their biological sex.
Fair point.
So are you allowed to ask them that?
Oh, it's a standard question.
And they can't get offended or anything.
Oh, I mean, people can get offended if they want, but I'm not asking in any kind of judgmental way. You can identify as whatever you want. I need to treat you the best way I possibly can. Any question that I ask you is designed to gather information to effectively treat whatever condition you have. Yeah. If you have the inside workings of a woman and you look like a male, I still need to know that, because you can still have problems with those female parts that I need to know about.
Correct.
So, and I mean, it's pre-operative and post-operatives and pre-transitions and post-transitions, and there's medications involved, and there's changes to the anatomy. There's changes to the, like a lot of the the medications that people use, or the hormones that people use, can cause long-term health problems that are an emerging part of medicine. That, like, there's actually, there's a lot of ongoing research into it to see what the long-term effects of this is. But I mean, if I ask that question, I'm not doing it in any kind of judgmental way. It's purely because I need to know.
Yeah. Is it possible to actually change one's sex internally? Like, so if you're a female and you become a man, will they completely lose their female organs?
Well, I mean, you can cut them all out.
They don't dissolve.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot of the...
What do you mean? What do you mean?
No. So, I mean, if you're biologically a female and you decide to go through a surgical procedure, you could get all of your female internal anatomy removed.
Oh, right.
It is removable, so to speak. That doesn't mean that your chromosomes stay the same. You are still, like, if I didn't know anything about you and had never seen you and had never talked to you and whatever, and all I did was look at a blood test, I would say that was a woman.
Oh, right. You can still tell.
Yeah, because it's chromosomes. It's XX and XY. I mean, biologically, you can do you start off as a embryo as XX or XY. There is, and that doesn't change, but you can have a mastectomy, so you can take your breasts off. Like, if you're a female and you want to become a male, there's a mastectomy. You can have a hysterectomy, which takes out the uterus. You can take out the ovaries. You can remove all that. Same thing with males. You can have everything cut off. You can have breast implants placed. You can physically change your appearance to the sex that you desire, feel most confident in. It doesn't change your genetics, but it can change your appearance and it can change your feelings. It's medically, it's very complicated. Medically, it's actually, there's a lot of long-term issues with it, but what's more important is usually the mental health of the patient. There's a lot of suicide in the population of people who, feel disenfranchised and feel disadvantaged by how they are physically viewed. If we can make them feel comfortable, if we can make them happy with how they look, then it might lead to a better quality of life for them. And if I can do something to help someone's quality of life, I'm going to do it. And again, and it's I'm not saying it in a mean way. It's not that I don't saying I don't care what you identify as doesn't mean I don't care about you as a person. It just means, like, I'm still going to treat you as a person.
Yeah, your job is to get to the
my job is to make you feel as healthy as you can be. So, yeah.
Talking about all that stuff, though, like, I wonder if anyone who's transitioned has gone to the extent of changing the number of ribs they have. Because males and females,
referencing that males have a different number.
Males
of
and
ribs?
females,
we have more
of ribs.
bones than females, mate. We have one more bone.
So I wonder
well-
if anyone has ever gone.
No, not our dick.
And I'm not.
I love you said that with like a serious face. I'm aware that we have an extra rib, but you're like, we have one more bone than the females do. Yeah, man.
We do. Fuck
Yeah, we
that.
do.
That
Hang
was
on, do
not
we have
supposed
one
to be-
more or one less?
One
don't
more.
We have one more rib.
Don't we have one less?
I don't know, Dr. Turk?
No, we
What's
have
this?
one more.
We have one less.
One
no,
less.
one less.
Yes.
You are right. Sorry.
Oh, one
because
less.
God took one of the ribs out of us to create a female. That's it.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
Yeah,
wow,
that's it.
So,
So
no, I
sex-
wonder.
So sex ed taught him.
Yeah.
No, Catholic school taught me.
Catholics.
I wonder if, and like, it just dawned on me then. I wonder if anyone has gone to that extent to feel.
Are you saying that we have one less or like a pair of ribs less? Like
No,
we
one
One
bone.
singular rib less.
So men was made out of dust, and woman was
Yeah,
made
right.
out of our rib.
I don't care about your churchy shit.
Yeah,
The biology behind that.
pretty easy to get around.
So, is it like the same side on all men? There's one rib missing.
So you have women do have an extra pair of floating ribs. So the bottom, your rib cage on the top part of it that actually curls around your chest and connects to your sternum, and then you've got sort of 2 or 3 at the bottom that don't actually connect to anything. They're just there to sort of protect internal organs and stuff. Women have one kind of extra one at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's on both sides. It's not like you have like a unilateral rib.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they have technically 2 extra ribs.
Have I solved the gender debate? Just x-ray everyone.
Or you could just test their blood.
Just x-ray everyone. How many ribs you got?
I'd rather
You're a man.
And
I'd rather
FYI,
swab a
Josh,
sheep.
it's not one rib, it's 2 ribs that are missing. So your biblical analogy there is incorrect.
One is 2, omnipresent.
Just take penises and vaginas out of it and just x-ray for ribs.
Look,
Is
fascinating.
that, is
Dude,
that too
I actually
simplistic?
didn't know
But
that.
I actually completely forgot about ribs until we had this discussion.
Look, I probably should not say this on this particular podcast, but I used
You
to
going to do it anyway?
I'll say it on your other one then.
I used to think.
Josh's second podcast.
I used to think differently.
Speaking with Batesy.
Hi, welcome to Just Joshing.
For those listeners, transition over. Wow, transition over. Yeah, trans over. No, I probably shouldn't say this, but I used to have a different opinion. Obviously, growing up in a Christian household, you sort of get
Indoctrinated?
indoctrinated with a lot of things, and it wasn't until recently, basically, that I had a particular view on the LGBT
QI
plus community, and I was actually out shopping, and I was buying dog food, and I would inadvertently not go to this checkout because this particular person was on the checkout. And one day I was walking along and I was like, mate, stop being so fucking petty in my head. So I went down, put my dog food up, spoke to this dude who I'm presuming with 100% confidence that he was gay. And you know what? He was the nicest motherfucker I've ever met. And every time I went back to go get dog food or shopping, I'd go through his checkout just to have a chat to him because he was a cool dude. And my first thing was I put the dog food up on the counter, and he's like, "Oh, what dog you got?" I'm like, "Oh, German Shepherd." And it all stemmed over because he's got some Rottweiler. He's got 2 Rottweilers at home, and we ended up getting talking and you're just chatting, and he was a nice dude, and it sort of changed my mind. I was like, "Oh, fuck!"
I can't believe you told the story of how you met your husband on the podcast. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just amazing.
Nicest guy
Just beautiful.
ever,
Just
by the way.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, because we're all fucking 3 here. Yeah, fucking.
I believe the word you're looking for is little spoon.
Hey, everyone wants to be a little spoon.
But in all
It
seriousness,
doesn't matter
you put your
how
breath
tall you are. Everyone
No,
wants
look,
to be a little
I
spoon.
love being the little spoon.
Nowadays, I don't give a crap as long as you don't. It's like Christianity. If you don't belt feed it down my throat and try and fucking hand it into you, I couldn't give a fuck.
Well, look, coming up in that environment, like the majority of Christians are hypocrites.
Absolutely.
And
fucking oath.
Fucking oath they are.
and when you get preachy and shove stuff down people's throats, they don't tend to like it very much.
Yeah,
Mate,
but look, it's
do you know what?
definitely like in this particular case, it's indoctrination. And look, it was throughout my whole life. It was just fucking, you know, you can love the person but don't love the act, and that was basically how you were raised. So that the act itself of loving the same sex is completely taboo. And I'm at the same time, like, they're just people, man. Well, they're just people trying to fit in the world.
It's just judgment. It's an entire fucking bullshit thing built on judgment. That's all it is. But then one of the key things in the Bible is do not judge.
Well, love your brother as you love yourself. So, you know, wow.
And this is the thing. Like, my dad's a pastor. Love my dad. Fucking love him. And he tends to agree with me on a lot of this sort of stuff. Like, he's a country pastor, not a big city church pastor. But a lot of the experiences that I've had in the city churches is it's gone from the individual being able to develop their own sort of idea of what it is that their relationship with, in quotations, God is, to this commercialized thing where it's a following. And if you step outside of that following, then you're not the ideal Christian that you should be.
Well, you're not a real person.
It's like you're judged by the mob, essentially.
Yeah,
and if you disagree with anything, like, you can't speak up, you can't. Whereas growing up, while it was definitely old school traditions that were pushed onto people, and then you'd have like a group of people that would speak up, they'd skew off and start their own church, and that would be the way that it was. And you have a bunch of little churches and.
I feel like that's sort of society in general at the moment, though. You have to think the exact same thing I do, or you are completely my enemy.
Look, I'm not talking about like, I'm not talking about completely breaking down morals. Look,
But
there
individual morals, like,
no. There are some things which, when you push the boundary, you take a mile. And like, there was an ad for a particular. How am I going to put this fucking nicely? But for a certain part of the community that were pushing for, basically, it didn't matter what age your relationships were.
Mate,
So you could essentially, pedophilia was starting to be
there was a political
to be
party.
accepted.
There's
And look,
Pi,
that-
the political party, was literally a thing. There was a recognized political party that was for pedophiles.
And that we need to draw the line
Right.
at and protect our children most definitely, regardless whether it's a practice that's practiced
Fuck yeah.
in parts of the world. Doesn't matter. We're here in the West. You know, we need to draw a line. But at the same time, you should be allowed freedom of speech, freedom of love, and, you know, freedom to bear arms. Fuck yeah. Vote 1 for fucking Joshua Bates.
Mate, I reckon
Your policies have changed a lot in the last few
they
years.
have, absolutely. But I think that it needs to come down to.
I've got more voters now, motherfucker.
So you're just getting
So what
popular
you're saying
opinion.
is that you would gladly change your policies, change your way of thinking if you get into office.
No. Love, bear arms.
love for bearing arms.
I love how you got to
Love for
3
bear.
there with 2 things.
I thought it was because his fingers were fused.
Do you know what? It all comes down
I'm going to
to
see
the
something funny. Watch
individual.
Josh count on his fingers.
It comes down to the individual, right? It's the lack of accountability for the individual is absolutely prevalent. Prevalent now. Like, it's setting your own bounds, and as an individual taking responsibility for yourself, what you think, what you feel, and setting your own bounds and what you're comfortable with. Like, everyone else can be themselves, and you cannot let them impact you. That's essentially it in a nutshell. If someone else is doing something that makes you feel upset about what they're doing for themselves, then what is it really that you're upset about? Because it's not impacting you.
Well, these days I
Is
feel
anyone
like
following that?
it's about getting upset about the other person getting further ahead in life, and that's what this society has certainly become about. Is
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it's like
Me,
cool poppy
me,
syndrome. Yeah,
you know,
but it's self-responsibility, I think, is what is lacking, where people, instead of taking responsibility for their own shortfalls and recognizing their own shortfalls, they are blaming everyone else for the problems that they see, whether it be in the group they're in the country they're in, or even their own individual status, the way that they see themselves, it's always someone else's fault. That's sort of the cue that I'm getting from most of the things that I've seen.
Taking responsibilities.
So in 1990, a movie came out called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Fucking great movie.
Good movie.
Yeah.
So be excellent to each other and party on.
Yeah, man.
Like, how hard is that?
I know. But it's
Keanu Reeves, bro, and he can run a gun like a motherfucker.
absolute champion.
Fucking A.
He can say shit like that and run a gun. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
why can't we all be like him?
And he's the
fucking oath.
nicest dude ever.
Fucking oath.
Yeah.
Fucking nicest dude.
Why can't we be like Keanu? And he fucking rides
Everyone
a
should
bike.
just be like Keanu.
Yeah, fuck.
WWKD.
What would Keanu do?
I did not know that acronym.
Dude, if you don't have the wristband, you're not even in the club.
That's not the acronym. He's making light of the WWJD,
What
which
would
is
Jesus
what would
do?
Jesus do?
Really big in
And
the
he's
90s.
replaced the J with the K. What would Keanu do?
is still all right with me.
Yeah, fuck. Ryan
DC talk,
singing.
if you don't mind.
Oh, God. Anyway, we should bring up something more medical to make use of our guest.
We should. All right. So I've got another question.
There we go.
Yeah.
Anal bleeding.
You just stitch meat flaps together, man.
It's like you get two cheeseburgers and you then slap them cheeseburgers together like that, and then there's a couple of sewing stitchers, and hey, you're done.
So I've got a question, and it's been a burning question. Oh, jokes, fucking syphilis, fuck. Oh,
the
we're
clap.
fucking
burn,
three.
actually.
Anyway,
Okay, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, more gonorrhea.
Definitely got the clap.
so I want to know, as a doctor that's getting or wanting to get into shooting or hunting or both, how do you fit into the demographic of your fellow doctors? Like, is it something that you would discuss, or is it something that other doctors would be into?
I mean, I guess I have the benefit of being a country doctor, where a large percentage of the people I work with also, have a farm, where they usually have a firearm because you need one. I think that it would be there is probably not a large number of doctors who are also shooters in this country. And that's mainly because it's not a city thing. If you work in downtown Sydney, the likelihood that you own a hunting, you probably own a ute and you drive it for your, mocha coffee latte every morning and go to work with it. But
You
don't
got
actually,
some sweet rims.
yeah, and you have your 22 spinners and stuff like that, but you're never actually going to go and do anything with it. But they don't go shooting. And I think that it's very different in every country. I mean, when I was in the US, there are literally doctor gun clubs.
Really?
Gun clubs that are just doctors in them.
Could that be a profitable thing for you to start?
Well, I'd have to find more than two.
But
start a club.
if you start it,
people.
people will come.
Maybe.
Great Field of Dreams reference there, Josh.
Yes. If I built a gun club in Kingaroy, people would come. Is what you're trying to say?
No,
I mean, no. If you
Stay
build a
away
gun
from-
club in Kingaroy, Josh would come
stay away from
in his
peasants.
pants only.
I was going to say, it depends. Is it like a Pornhub thing or?
Look,
it's we have a lot of problems in the medical field with firearms because so many people get hurt and damaged and they hurt each other, and there's a large stigma associated with firearms, firearm ownership. The only reason that you own a gun is to either, kill a skippy or shoot somebody with it. And, the reality is that gun violence in this country is basically non-existent compared to where I trained. And it's just it's a well established rhetoric that you hear that, guns are bad. And you can't go against that. It's like saying terrorism is a good thing. Actually, if anyone ever tried to, come into parliament and say, maybe we should allow semis, they probably wouldn't get reelected. And, it's the same.
I would vote for him, but yep.
I probably wouldn't, to be honest. You can do too much damage with the semi on a person.
Have you seen many?
I never said
We
semis
had,
are
we had
bad.
either end of tables here.
Joshua is bristling.
I never said they're bad to own, but I've seen the outcome of an AR-15 being unloaded into somebody, being rolled into on a gurney. So I have a different view of it in that yes, they're fine. In that there are benefits, there are drawbacks, whatever, but they're also dangerous if they're used
Definitely.
inappropriately.
One thing that I certainly look at is the culture of the people. So one, we have a smaller population, which with gun culture can, if you're educated right, it certainly helps, and this is certainly seen in Finland. So Finland, there are almost as many guns as there are population, and their gun violence is to this day 1 death a year, and it's because of the simple fact is the culture is different, and obviously that's a very small country, that's a very small population compared to Australia.
Can't agree with
so
that.
you sort of have to times it. As when you start getting bigger population, you're going to start getting an increase in the amount of incidences.
There's a lot of other variables that play into that.
Yeah,
There
the
is.
the exponential nature of gun violence in some countries, especially ones slightly to the south of Canada, in regards to the availability of firearms as well. That plays a huge part of it.
in that. So in the breakdown of the states, and this is where a lot of people like to be ignorant or argue for the sake of arguing.
Here we go.
So
Is that like your?
essentially, yeah, that was a stab at you.
Or is that like your precursor of saying that anyone that disagrees with you is wrong?
No, that's the precursor of you like to argue. Anyway,
I like to debate. There's a difference.
So in the states
Masturbate.
where semis or concealed carry or things like general gun laws are highly restricted, they tend to have a lot more gun violence. And then when you like in comparison to the states that have flexible laws, we'll say for instance, their comparison and their population size between states is very similar. So you can sort of judge it on a bit of culture. So you're getting some issues there, and that just comes from a cultural perspective or the way you live or the demographic of that area. Obviously that's going to change some issues. And so with the demographic, I'm talking about the general wealth in that state. Now, if we compare that to Australia, I personally think that we have the intellect to be able to go, okay, if we're going to allow semis, we can. It's all good. Everyone gets educated. Everyone sort of is at that. Everyone's maturity level is, at a relatively sort of same sort of area. You can get away with it, and I do think that is the case. I mean, we had two. And one of those two were it was a major incident in Australia, not New Zealand, but Australia's history before Howard took our guns, our semis away, and the gun buyback came in and things like that. We had one of two incidents in.
So what are
the
you
last
What are you
100
referencing
years.
there?
Well, Port Arthur,
Arthur.
and then
How
there
many
was
how many people died in Port Arthur?
I think.
I'll ask because I don't know.
I don't. I'm not going to say off the top of my head, man. But it was obviously a very significant incident, but it did not reflect the general public's outlook on guns. Look, it really didn't. It didn't portray everyone. You can't judge the actions of one person and judge 20 million people off of it. You can't do that.
So that is
The answer to that is 35 people were
Yeah,
killed and 23 were wounded.
So
Port
just as a I agree in that not everyone's going to have the same opinion. So in 2019, 0.9 people per 100,000 were killed by guns in Australia. Okay? 0.9.
That's not even a whole person.
Right. Now, in the exact same year, 2,945 were killed in California
They
per 100,000, which is about the same population density as Australia. I
And-
think it's about 20 odd million.
And Cali actually has very, very restrictive gun laws. So
It'd be interesting to
But your logical argument is that the more restrictive the gun laws,
Yeah.
the more deaths
That
you're
was
going
your
to get.
in the states. In the states.
Oh yeah, but if you, the problem, so the states is the best way to describe the Americas. Well, the United States, not the Americas, because that includes Canada. But the best way to describe the U.S. is a whole bunch of children in a big trench coat trying to act like an adult, because they are all completely separate individual states. They all have their own rules. They all have their own regulations. They all have their own penalties. They all have everything. And you're right in that some states will have higher death rates. Some states will have lower death rates, and some states will have very different gun laws than other states. And I'm sure that the death tracking is very different in every single state. But the country as a whole has, I mean, and I was in it once. I lived in 3 different states over the time I was there. But the states that I lived in had astronomical, compared to Australia and Canada, death rates.
Yeah, but you're also talking about a huge population increase. I mean, for our size of our country, we have a very tiny per square kilometre population. Yes, we have dense areas, but nowhere near as dense as the states.
Yeah, but Japan also has a denser population. They don't kill themselves.
And they,
guns.
I think culture is a big player here.
Yeah, man.
that's
Massively.
the funny thing. In Japan, they're allowed guns.
They are.
There is a big hunting community in Japan, a very big hunting community,
What are the restrictions?
which
in
you don't
Japan?
know. I wouldn't know off the top of my head, man, to be honest.
That's interesting. I don't know either.
But my mum actually went over there with my grandmother before she passed away. They went up somewhere, like I think it was north, and mum ended up seeing some deer, and she asked one of the tour guides, "Oh, do you hunt deer up here?" And they're like, "Yeah, we do." And that makes sense actually, because when I was in Darwin, some of the major outfitters or guides in Darwin, when I would speak to them, they would sit there and talk about how 80% of their clients were Japanese. And they would come in and spend big money, like $10,000 on a hog hunt for 10 days or whatever. And you're like, fucking hell, and they're like, 80% of the guys that come over are Japanese.
It's the cultural differences between, state to state are very obvious down there, but also the cultural differences between this country and that country are just, it's night and day. And it's, and I mean, in all, yes, you can make any argument you want about whether having more gun laws, less gun laws, more guns, less whatever. The bottom line is that you can't change it now is probably the best way to look at it. So if you actually tried to introduce the Australian gun laws in the United States, there would just be another civil war.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You just can't. So it's almost immaterial as to whether what's going to fix the problem. They just have to stop shooting each other.
This is something that I was going to ask, and that is, I'm just going to have another brain fart.
Why is he so
While you're
forgetful?
brain farting, I've got the gun restrictions on Japan here. In Japan, you're only allowed to have an air rifle or a shotgun. You cannot buy rifles or handguns.
You can still hunt with both of those things.
Yep, and it lapses every 3 years. So you've only got a license valid for 3 years, and then you have to go through a whole bunch of.
Wow.
That's very similar to Australia.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
you
You
can
have,
buy
you have to
a
reset.
year or 5
You
years.
have to reset everything.
That's
You actually
strict.
have to reset
That
it.
is stricter than us.
That's stricter than us.
That sounds strict.
Yeah, that's
And they police check the ammunition inventory to make sure that no cells or pellets are no shell or pellet is unaccounted for. Like they count the pellets that they have for
It's
their
not
air
hard. A
rifles.
tin's 500, so you just count the tin.
Unless you shot
You know,
something.
I could honestly see somebody sitting down and going 1, 2.
This is
Yeah.
the other thing is you don't realise that there's 50 cal air rifles, man.
Oh yeah.
You can get big motherfucking air rifles that are just as powerful as centerfires. Anyway,
So what you're saying is I shouldn't get a Howa, I should get a air rifle?
no, fuck that. I'd get the Howard.
You know how we were talking about a drug to make Josh's dick go limp? Talking about air rifles.
Yeah.
think we'll
I
do the same
made
thing.
Caleb buy my 22 on the stipulation he had to take my shitty fucking air rifles as well. And he did. Suck shit.
It is literally just clogging up space in my fucking gun safe.
It's because you don't use it. If
trade it in.
if I was you, I would be sitting at your hallway, opening your sliding doors and putting a target out and shooting it. But you just don't think that way.
Dude, you know where I live. You know I could not
the
do
hallway is wicked. Straight out those doors, you could do it.
that.
You could.
Oh, look, I could, but no.
No, you're
Letting
just
off-
making
letting off,
excuses.
like, you got like a break action air rifle.
It's a gamma.
Yeah, gamma, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty loud inside.
They are fucking
No,
loud.
They're fucking loud,
It
man.
might be loud inside, but the walls will dampen it
Like-
for everyone else.
If I wasn't worried about my neighbours, I would literally sit in my front yard and shoot all the fucking minor birds in the gum tree at the front of my house.
I'm quite happy to take my shotgun down there and do it.
Right.
And just do
But
it.
I can't because I live in a built up suburban area and people are going to get
You
offended
could
for that shit.
easily, your house would fucking dull that fucking air rifle if you shot it from inside. Anyway,
I wouldn't do
Until
it.
someone calls the cops and goes, "There's gunshots inside."
Why would I risk doing that?
because you can target shoot at your
Yeah,
house.
but all it takes is one person to make the phone call when he loses his license.
You're in the house, mate.
It's not worth the risk.
Nah.
Over that piece of shit that you made me take.
I know heaps of people that do that sort of stuff, and they've never had an issue.
Well, first of all, you got a door open.
I don't think they have neighbours as close as mine.
You're at the other end, literally at the other end of your house.
My neighbour sits in his
Down the
backyard.
hallway.
My neighbour sits in his backyard. He would hear.
Nah.
Josh,
Nah.
have you ever shot an air rifle through a doorway
Were you
in a
about to ask
hallway?
Josh, has he ever fired a rifle
No.
indoors before?
No, like, have you ever done it in the same scenario that you're proposing he does?
I also have a dog. Like, are you so I
Yes.
have to lock a dog up in a room so he doesn't accidentally run across
So
the
you
doorway.
lock your dog in your laundry anyway at times. There you go. You're all set. You open a door, you walk down to the other end of the house, you've got a range set.
Risk versus reward? No, I'm
There
not
is
doing
zero
that.
risk.
No, I'm not doing it.
Zero risk.
Not
You
doing
just
it.
get
What?
a bit of wood at your retainer wall on a 45 degree, you'll be fine.
No,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
I think your idea.
I
is
would
zero
rather go
risk.
and
Do a
fucking
little
have a
bit
wank
stupid.
for an hour than shoot that piece of shit for half an hour. I would get more enjoyment out of that.
Oh, look, I'm not arguing it's definitely a piece of shit.
Are you going to
but
record it
I
and
would
put it
shoot
on Pornhub?
Me shooting the
Do
rifle.
you have
It's been a
shells?
while
Do
since you
you have
posted.
slugs?
Yeah.
We'll do it. I'll set it up next time we're out and you can see. And I'll stand out the front of the sliding door.
Do you know what?
And stand there and listen. And
You
see
stand.
is it
You
fucking
can
loud?
stand in my backyard and be the target, and I will shoot from the other end of my.
That's
Oh, can
fine.
you put an apple next to his left nut?
I'd dead set trust
I'd
that
shoot
because
the
you'd
apple.
miss me.
Well, if I was trying to aim for your testicles, then I'd
Dr.
probably
Tim,
miss.
How many gun associated patients have you had?
In Australia or in my
In
career?
Australia.
2.
Self-inflicted?
So why can't we have semis?
Accidental
I mean,
or intentional?
Well, both of them claimed it was accidental.
Oh. were
Was
they
it like,
patched?
I accidentally
shit.
blew out the side of my jaw from the inside of my mouth? Or was it
Well,
like,
no. So one of them was he accidentally shot the back of his knee with a 22.
oh,
Oh, nah, that's a kneecapping. I know that.
It
the
was an
back of his
accident.
knee? Or the
No, the entrance wound was very much not in the front.
Yeah, so that's a kneecapping.
that's hard to do yourself.
That's no.
If you're
That's
kneecapping, you do it
I'm
from the
telling
front.
you, that's a kneecapping.
or that's someone
I'm
fuck-assing
fucking
around.
telling you, that's a kneecapping.
Or it's your
That's
dickhead.
someone. That's someone being like, I'm making a statement.
you
here.
got a
Or,
kneecap
or
someone,
he
you
set
shoot
up
them
his
from the front.
22 in his hallway and his mate was shooting down the hallway and he walked out his back door and got accidentally shot.
Bro, with an air rifle.
Probably shot
mate,
his fucking sausage dog as well.
The air rifle, fucking a 308 will bounce off my fucking body.
Oh, settle down. We've reached that stage in the night.
no,
Josh
no,
has had
no,
a-
no, no. believes anything
He's
you
got
say.
another one. He's got another one.
Oh, what's the second
that
one?
was I dug a 22 out of a guy's arm that accidentally went off while he was cleaning his rifle.
It went off while I was cleaning it.
Yeah, and I again accidental.
Yeah, look, I can see that. I can see that.
I totally believed every word that he said.
Accidents happen.
Accidents do happen. The police also were involved with that one, unfortunately. But
Yeah, look, I get the feeling.
it's always good fun handing a bullet to a cop and just kind of smiling when I tell him the story. But yeah,
I get any
fair.
firearm incident is going to be immediately reported to the police.
It'd be treated with some serious.
Yeah, definitely.
it does
Definitely.
make for some interesting phone calls.
I want to know.
Why my balls are so small.
So, you're obviously a keen shooter. Would you advocate for better gun education in South Australia? In Australia, because to me, that is where our issue lies. Is education to the plebs in cities, the fuckheads that are ignorant. Excuse my language, but is that something as a doctor you could see?
I'm sorry, but
Changing.
we're over 50 episodes and now you're asking people to excuse your language. You
say it, like
swear
what?
more than all of us.
Nah,
It's probably because we've got a doctor in the room.
Nah, I'm trying to be learned. like as a keen shooter, like I advocate for everything.
I think educating people on the benefits of firearms would just go against so much ingrained cultural bias that exists right now that it would be very difficult. Yeah, it would be great if people actually understood why you wanted to go hunting and why you wanted to do things and why you believed that it was, a good way to spend a weekend. But, someone who takes their, Mercedes Ute to a, mocha chocolate stand is probably not going to give two shits that you fire a 308 on the weekend and why you do it. It's a care factor too.
So with this, just quickly, obviously you're a health professional, so you advocate for healthy diets and things like that. So my missus,
Sure.
I bring deer meat home.
Which is really good for you, actually.
And that's the thing. They started eating it and they love it, and it's lean, and it's full of vitamins and proteins.
Yeah, kangaroo's fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've actually asked me, because her mum used to eat a lot of roo when she was young. She said, could you please get us some kangaroo? And they love the venison, but they're for it. Now, previous to that, like they certainly love their meat. They're big meat family. But they've certainly got onto this. Are we fucking three, Caleb? They've certainly got onto this like a wild game meat leanness and sustainability.
So hard.
Like I think that's I've fucking lost what I was going to say. You got a lot of editing to do, man.
I'm sorry, you talking about your missus fucking loving your big meat.
She does. She does.
Look, I
want to see how you turn this into gold, actually.
Oh, mate, if I can do it to the other episode,
I think that there's a lot of education that could be done in metropolitan areas about the benefits of game meat, the benefits of, and then the reality is of a benefit of a cull, a benefit of the actual good things that come from it, the benefit of the ongoing, the benefits of the wilderness, the benefits that you guys bring to going out there and keeping an eye on the, like there's benefits to having hunters in an area, and that's well shown and well proven. And
but the education of that.
Yeah, the education. And even if it's the basic introduction of, if you have someone who's never had venison before and you give them venison and they go like, what the hell is this? This is the greatest meat I've ever had or whatever. Well, they need to know where that comes from. And, there's a lot of people that don't even like to admit that the, bacon that they buy actually existed as a pig at some point. So there's a whole bunch of hurdles there. But I think that if you getting people who don't even understand that this, the kangaroo meat that sits on the shelf in the grocery store right next to the giant racks of beef and lamb and fish and whatever is actually better for you than everything else that you see there. If they're not willing to listen to that, then you're not going to get very far.
I think you could educate and maybe have like a little subculture of educated people who take this thing up of game meat and whatever. But unless the mainstream media takes that up as a narrative, the vast majority of people aren't going to be on board.
Look, I think we're almost there because, like, as we know, everything comes in fads, and at the moment there's a big hunting movement in Australia, and I think it will.
but it's not a mainstream movement.
It's not a mainstream thing in the media. Who do you think gets more airtime right now? Do you think hunters or vegans get more airtime right now?
I think it will
Actually,
make
COVID probably
mainstream
gets the most airtime right
media eventually.
Not a chance.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Not a chance with our modern leadership.
Not with those fucking attitudes, that's for sure.
No,
So,
that's
you know,
that's
we all
being
want to
realistic
be.
though.
No, it's not.
We'd all love for it to be that way, but I don't think it ever will actually be that way.
No, I think it will. Seeing the hunting and shooting culture from when I was a child to now, holy fuck.
Yeah, but
It
you're
is
talking about like
grown exponentially, and it is continuing to grow exponentially.
it's an underground scene, essentially.
Nah,
Absolutely, it is.
no, because the vegans and that are pushing against the hunting community. The thing with social media these days is we have a direct voice back, and it is
No, we
actually.
don't. We don't. We're screened.
Oh my god!
The question that I have for you is: on mainstream media, where have you ever seen a positive story, including that involves firearms?
Stock Journal.
Stock Journal, mainstream media.
That. Fuck me.
What is Stock Journal? I don't even know what Stock Journal is.
Mainstream media.
That is a mainstream media for fucking a massive population of our community.
That's
just because it's
not-
not channel 9, 7, and 10.
Yeah, those are the mainstream,
Mainstream
media.
media,
No, Stock
by
Journal
definition.
is still mainstream.
No, it's not. It's just a media outlet. There's a bazillion of them.
The fact that Ryan doesn't know what stock journal is means it's not mainstream.
Nah.
That's the definition of mainstream.
Do you know? I think hunting will
And
come
we
to the
actually
forefront.
have, what's that, like South Aussie with Cozzy, he's fucking promoting shooting as well, actually. If
Really?
we're talking about it in South Australia, yes. So that's hit fucking channel 7?
When was that?
7 or
9.
9. South
what-
Aussie
what
with
did he
Cozzy
say
did
with that?
South Aussie with Cozzy did a fucking thing actually at the range a couple of months ago where he went out shooting and he promoted it on mainstream media. So we fucking hit
Shooting
that.
at the range or hunting?
That's an isolated incident.
Shooting
I
at
think
the
what you
range.
have is confirmation bias. This is not a knock
because
on you.
I've seen where we were in the past to where we are now, and we are at that stage actually in the community where all the fucking old dinosaurs in the gun clubs and things like that, the new up and comers are like, let's get on the media. The old dudes are like, no, we just want to be protected and just fucking hide away in the corner, and the new guys are coming up and they're like, nah, fucker, we need to get our voice loud and proud, because then the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and then we bring more shooters, and then we get even bigger, we get fucking better, we get fucking louder and prouder, and we fucking push the education to the fucking ignorance.
It's still an
I agree with you,
entity.
but
It's
on a
happening.
bigger scale, you are
It's
fucking
happening.
balls deep and immersed in that world, right?
Nah, it's
but
happening.
in the big scheme of things, it's nothing.
Nah, it's happening. A whisper can start, and then eventually.
Yeah, but there is no
gets
whisper
louder.
at the moment. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you're
There is a whisper.
if you're-
that's incorrect. There's a fucking huge culture, and
Well, there's not.
one of the companies that I personally think is leading the way in the mainstream area, especially in Sydney, is Dog and Gun. They are a coffee company that is pro shooters, pro hunters.
what are they mainstream?
And in
What
the-
mainstream media have
in
they
the
been on?
coffee mainstream area. They're a company that is getting very, very big as a coffee company in a suburban area in Sydney that is fucking growing immensely and getting a lot of traction, whether that is because people don't realise that they're buying a shooting orientated product or not. The fact
Can I,
is, the
like,
matter is,
Josh,
eventually
I
it's getting
fucking
out
love
there.
your optimism so hard, but it is
Nah.
not mainstream.
But
Can
the
I-
thing is,
it's-
both
it's-
of you have been in this culture for a less time, and I've seen it when it was nothing.
No, we're
it
exposed
is
to the
getting
same culture
bigger.
that you're exposed to, man. I think the biggest way to answer your question.
I hear what you're saying. So you've seen an exponential growth. You've seen it go from nothing to a little bit.
No,
But in the
it's
scheme of
getting
things,
traction.
it's still not a thing.
No, it's getting a
what
huge amount of
non-shooters
traction.
do you know that drink Dog and Gun?
Quite a lot, actually.
Who? Non-shooters,
Do you want me to
non-hunters.
rattle off fucking
Absolutely.
Five
individual
people.
names? Good
Five
God.
people.
You don't know 100
You don't know
people.
anyone. That means it is not mainstream.
All right.
In Josh's mind,
All right.
mainstream.
Brenda.
Brenda is the wife of a hunter and a shooter.
Tim.
Who also shoots.
They're all wives of hunters and shooters.
I'm sorry. I drink Nescafe Blend 43. I don't remember the last time I bought a coffee. Thank you very
Nah,
much.
it is getting louder.
Do you know
and
what a
prouder.
better statement or question would be? How do you take it into the mainstream?
Look, and that's something that we're working out, and we are currently doing this as a podcast.
We're trying to. Fucking oath we are.
100% we're trying to. But
I
do you know-
don't like. I don't think you understand. I mean, at the moment in Victoria, this was not something that was around when I was a kid. They now have fucking public land that you can go buy access and a license to hunt. They fucking didn't have that. Now they have fucking millions of acres in fucking Vic alone that you can hunt. Even in New South.
Can I clarify that?
Yes.
Because I didn't know. I genuinely don't know. Did they not have it, or did you not know about
No,
it?
they
that's
did
my
not
question.
have
When
it.
did it start?
They didn't. I believe it. No, I'm not going to comment because I don't know exactly when it started. They did not have it when I was a child. There was like a time when.
So when did public land hunting become a thing in Victoria?
Well, actually, no. I think they may have had it. I didn't know about it.
You didn't know
to be
about it.
honest.
Yes, the
Yeah.
truth.
And look, but now it's publicised, and now it is on a platform where it reaches everyone from dog walkers to fucking playgrounds to campsites to hunting with dogs to fishing to this and that.
I do.
It is.
I
it
do
is
genuinely
huge.
think, man,
fact-
I love you to death, but I do genuinely think it's confirmation bias.
Nah, it's
So there is acts and statements going back to 1975 allowing hunting in Victoria.
Look, I didn't want to quote because we actually had my dad used to hunt on Main North Road here in SA. So whether it was legal at the time or whether it was not, I don't know. But
Every man and his dog used to go out to Gawler
So-
when they were a kid. Like,
yeah, so I
back
didn't
in
want to
the
comment
50s,
because
60s. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure in Vic the locals would have hunted the public lands and there was no real legislation. So I didn't really know. I don't know when it
We
really
are
started.
firmly in the
But-
world according to Joshua territory right now.
Absolutely.
We are.
do you mean?
We're entrenched.
What do you mean?
I'm saying you're fucking driving the bus right now.
Like back when we were like fucking tiddlywinks, mate. Obviously, you could still go hunt on Crown land, and then the world took this dive to fuck, close everything off.
Ridiculous.
And now it's fucking opening back up again. Even in New South Wales, we are allowed to hunt public land under a license now. In fucking New South Wales,
But
you
used to
can
be able to
literally go outside of Sydney, like 50 k's, and hunt.
You used to be able to do that without a license.
You used to, but as I said, there was a time where then it was taboo because like the fucking activists and shit.
It
were
was generally
fucking huge.
accepted.
Before that, yes, it was accepted, and then it wasn't, and now it is again. It's boomed, it's flourished, it's getting bigger.
Do you know when I think genuinely that hunting will come to the forefront in mainstream media? When we've all been living.
No, you're not allowed to have that attitude.
No. When I actually think hunting will come to the forefront, is when we've all been living in the metaverse for 10 years,
Yeah.
and the entire power grid crashes, and there's this subculture of hunters that still exist,
For those,
and they will rise up.
They will rise up because everyone else will be too fucking fat to
No
get
one
out
else.
of their chair.
Everyone else will just be this fat, slobbering mess in their chairs. They can no longer use their computers.
Do you know what? That is a good question to lead back to Dr. Tim.
And all of a sudden, we will all be able to use our hunting skills.
all right, ladies,
to provide-
Tim, you're not getting a photo because I'm going to put a poll up for our listeners.
Who would last longer?
If you want me to punch these two from the dick, vote yes.
I'll
yes.
have you know that he's only saying that because we don't agree with him.
Vote yes for Pedro.
That
if
is
you
not
fuckers
very
want me to-
tolerant of you, Josh.
I'm going to put up a counter poll. For those of you who think Josh gets violent and angry on sheepdog,
For those who don't agree with him. Hi, I'm Josh. I like to punch people.
No, I'll do the old glove in the fucking dick like Caleb did to Ryan.
you're basically arguing like, agree with me or I'll punch you right now.
No,
You're very aggressive.
mate, I
Why-
think you're
what's so
wrong.
angry?
For a little man, you're very
I
aggressive.
think like you're not there in adopting the life complete. And
Hang on,
I
are you
think
saying he's not a shooter because he's not adopting the
I
life
think-
that you
I
think he should be adopting?
when you step into
I hate
it,
to say it. I like Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a cabin in the woods
Yeah, look-
and having my AI
Yeah, look, I do too.
and sitting, like 4G is nice, 5G is better.
You sound like
But,
a fucking
you
vegan,
know-
Josh. You're like, you're not living the life, man.
what I'm trying to say
You still
is
have a belt made out of leather,
Yeah.
not a hemp one. Therefore, you are not a real man.
Yeah.
I'm a real boy.
what I'm trying to say is like when you immerse in more, you just want to push the word out.
You're just not
more.
immersed in the life. Are you hearing yourself?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
You sound like a cult leader.
If you don't have a van and you don't shoot every weekend, then you just don't know what it's like, bro.
Nah, like when was the last time you went shooting?
Listen
Ryan?
back to this podcast and then replace shooter with vegan, and then listen to what you're saying.
We are on a shooting and hunting podcast. Ryan, when was the last time you went shooting?
I would like to think that who the fuck cares?
Let's immerse ourselves in
Well,
the culture.
hang on, because there'd be people who are
This is my
classify
point.
them as
This
a
is my
hunter
point
and a
that
shooter.
I'm making. You're like, oh, if you don't go shooting this many times, then you're not a shooter. If you don't go out and see this many people, then you're not a shooter. You're not a hunter. You're a fuck you and your little fucking judgmental ways.
Our second biggest listener base is in Victoria,
Like-
and they were in lockdown for how long? And most
Jesus
of them didn't go
Christ.
shooting for over a year. So,
And you're like, oh,
What,
you
are
don't
they-
fit the demographic. Do you know what you are? You're the old man who
don't.
won't let other people use the
don't.
range. That's you right now. So fuck you and little man syndrome.
Nah, look, I think when you love something, you chase it and you want to do it week in, week out. And
Yeah, you do. But do you know what?
Those-
People also have other obligations.
those guys
mate, I want to do it as much as you do. I just can't.
those guys in Vic, I certainly feel for them because that's not a good situation to be in. And I understand why they certainly would be wanting to protest about it, especially getting out in the sun and out in the bush, getting some fucking vitamin D and getting some fresh air.
Well, you've just said to
through
them
this.
they're not as much a hunter and a shooter as you are.
No, I said to you specifically, actually, Ryan.
Okay, so isn't that like your opinion, though, that you would apply to everyone else? Or is it just me specifically that you're targeting?
Just you specifically. I'm doing this to backtrack now.
Josh, when was the last time you shot your bow?
Well, actually, not that long ago. Probably like. Well, I don't have a bow, so I shot Dad's bow. Probably
My
about
point exactly. You
fortnight ago.
You're not a fucking bow
When did-
hunter then, are
Yeah.
you?
I don't even
He doesn't profess to be.
When
to
was
be
the
fair.
last time you reloaded?
confess to be. So, I don't confess to be a reloader.
Oh, no, but you've got reloading gear, so you've posted it, and that means you're a reloader, but you haven't reloaded. So you're not a reloader.
Oh, you can't talk
It's
about
false.
that on the podcast.
Fucking false.
You haven't done it
When
in
was
over
the
6
last
months.
time you wore camo?
Today. Actually,
And what were you doing?
just walking around my
Masturbating. He's
house.
probably got
Okay,
camo
so
jocks
you're a
on right
false camo wearer then.
Either way I answer this is going to go the wrong way. And this is
When was the last time you masturbated?
this. No, like I know that I've hit a sore
Well, I
spot,
can only see one hand.
and I understand that you have other obligations
It's
to
not
do.
a sports, but like the point
But-
that I'm making, man, is you're passing judgment on people that
No,
don't fit inside your
the
box.
point that I'm making is if you're going to be in the sport and you want longevity in the sport, you need to have a voice and you need to promote that
But
voice.
that's like
and you need
how
to
often your shoot isn't
step
about your
into it.
voice.
Well, no, it comes to it. It's a
No, it
part
doesn't.
of it. Yeah, it is.
You
It's
could shoot
definitely
once
part
a
of it.
year. You could shoot once a year and still be a shooter.
Yeah, but if you're going to shooting events or going to areas where you're announcing it and promoting it and things like that, that's when I say that you're sort of
No,
stepping.
you're
into
talking
it a
about
little bit more.
immersion in the culture. So there's a difference.
It's intertwined, really.
I don't think it is at all. I think that you're labeling,
Okay, I'm going to
Someone-
leave that at that.
and I think it's incredibly hypocritical. To be honest, like, you got to stop.
You've
thinking like
just
that.
heard our argument on a disagreement on Senate Mate podcast. Ryan, I still
This
love
is definitely not the first disagreement
I
our
still love
listeners
you.
heard. Absolutely, I love you. I just think you're full of shit.
you. Yeah, and our listeners think
Happy
otherwise.
not to be on the receiving end of it for once.
Oh no, you're a part of this.
Caleb,
Don't
when was the last time you wore camo?
Shut you down, cunt.
Caleb, when was the last time you masturbated?
Well, he's wearing camo right now, right?
I'm masturbating right now.
He has a camo
He's
hat.
jerking off, wearing camo, and he's stroking a rifle.
I'm literally wearing a camo hat at this table.
And he went shooting today. He's a shooter.
He's the only real shooter among us.
He is. Well, he went recently, actually.
I'm wearing camo now. I shot a week,
2 weeks ago.
8 days ago. No, what's Wednesday? I shot 10 days ago.
Which I would have been a part of if I wasn't dying. Yeah, it's like quite dying.
Air quotes,
Yeah,
dying.
I was like, I got the black lung.
Hungover.
What was I dying hungover? Were you hungover or were you actually sick?
I don't think I was even drinking the night before. No, I was legitimately.
So you actually sick?
I was legitimately. I didn't work for 4 days. Like that's me. I'm the guy who doesn't go to work ever. What doesn't not go to work ever? I don't know how to word that, but
You had COVID.
I know I got tested twice. Came back negative.
See, do you find, Ryan, that like, because of COVID, you haven't had the flu since, like, during fucking winter and things like that. So did you feel it worse when you got it?
I feel like
Because you
Ryan's
haven't-
been sick like 6 times.
No,
during
that's the
COVID.
thing. Like I have been sick more in the last 12 months than I ever have been in my life. And I shit you not. Like I've got a son that's now going to school and he brings back all kinds of nasties.
Yeah.
But I've been tested. I think this is my 8th time being tested for COVID. But having all of the symptoms, like I've got like viruses and bacterial infections and all kinds of nasty shit. And I've worked through all of it anyway. Like obviously I'm working in big parks where there's no one around me. So there's no one to be infected and I'm using my own tools and that sort of stuff. We're going through the appropriate stuff. Appropriate precautions is probably a better word. And then taking the days off when I am around people to take the precautions. But I've never been more sick in the last 12 months ever, but I've never been tested more in the last 12 months. Like
Oh, you've had more than one COVID testing.
I have been tested 8 times for COVID.
Holy fuck.
I've had one.
I've had 0, and I've had 0 fucking
How many times have you been
immune
tested?
fucking the shit.
Oh, you stop counting at a certain point.
Do you, like, how does that work in the medical profession?
So we basically every time we had a tickle in our throat, we were asked to be tested. But we were also getting the rapid testing done on us, so we could go back to work.
Could you test yourself?
I actually preferred to shove the thing down my own nose because I had somebody do it really badly one time.
I like making a big one myself as well.
It's just easier.
Did you get
If you can control the slide, it's just
Once you pass the gag reflex, you're all good.
You've got the jab?
yeah. I'm actually due for my booster pretty soon actually.
Wow. I am well behind the fucking ball.
Well,
Yeah, no,
I've had the first dose, the first jab.
Yeah.
So are you fully vaccinated?
Oh yeah,
Other
yeah.
than
Our GP practice was one of the first places in town that was doing the jab. So we all got vaccinated in the practice within 2 weeks of the vaccine being released. Probably.
No side effects at all?
I had a bit of a headache the second day. That's about it.
That's like
That's not good.
me on a Wednesday.
Yeah, like I didn't. I mean, it was a headache to the point of I think I took some Panadol at 9 a.m. and didn't think of it again. Didn't even care.
Does Panadol do anything for headaches? Because I've read that.
Oh, the placebo effect is fantastic for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, because that's what I've read. Like, the placebo effect of Panadol has more effect than what the drug itself does. Because all it does is essentially lower body temperature. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. No, don't they give Panadol
Like for
as a
fever?
standard when you go to hospital? Say you go for like, you're going to like these people that waste like ED's fucking time and they go in because they're sick or something. They just give them Panadol fucking immediately.
So there, emergency rooms have nurse initiate. So like when you go see that triage nurse and tell them that you have a stub pinky finger or something like that, they do have a protocol that they can follow to give you different medications. So if you're nauseous, they can give you something. If you're in pain, they can give you something. If you're having an asthma attack, they can give you something. Like they have lists of things that they're allowed to give. Panadol is on that list.
Yeah.
But yeah, Panadol is it's actually a reasonably good painkiller. It does also change it changes your hypothalamic set point of your body temperature so that you don't have a fever anymore, if you really want to know.
Like the papers.
But yeah,
That's what I was talking about.
it's not like getting rid of the pain doesn't have to do with your getting rid of the fever. It actually is a painkiller. It interrupts the pain signals in your spine.
Also, actually does have an.
Yeah.
The paper, I've only read two papers on it, which weren't peer reviewed, which were the Panadol.
So Bob on.
No, it was.
Peer review.
It's a Wikipedia page.
It wasn't a Wikipedia page. It was a fucking university page. But so the outline was basically to see whether Panadol, the placebo effect of Panadol, would outweigh what the actual effects of it was, and it found that the placebo effect of it was more substantial than what the benefit of the drug itself was. So
The placebo effect of a lot of medications, though, are actually the placebo effect of a lot of drugs is better than the actual drug's effect, if you can sell it. And the whole concept of placebos is difficult to study. There's also the concept of nocebo, which is if you tell somebody that you're giving them a placebo. And then also there's the concept of if you tell somebody that you're not going to do anything, but it'll work just as well. And then also we're required to tell somebody if you're giving somebody a placebo. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
So placebos themselves are just fraught with issues and ethical issues, but Panadol works. Panadol regularly works. There's a reason why we have Panadol for osteoarthritis pain and stuff like that.
See, I've heard that osteo is bullshit.
Like Panadol Osteo?
Yeah.
It's a modified release version of Panadol, so just it leaches out a little bit slower in your body. That's why you only have to take it a few times a day instead of.
That's essentially what they all are, though, isn't it? It's like it's a release time.
Yeah, there's like rapid absorption and the period one and the osteo one.
The headache one.
Fucking hell.
So that some of them are also combinations. So there's a migraine one that has caffeine in it. There's the rapid release one. I think the capsule's activated by acid, so it dissolves faster.
Yeah, it's like a liquid capsule. Instead of like a powdered pill.
There's one that tastes like a fucking lolly, and I love
So
it.
That's called ecstasy, Josh.
that will get rid of your pain really well. Actually.
Yeah, fucking.
And you will love everybody.
So the brand name Tylenol, the American version. So Americans love sugar, so they sugarcoat most of their pills. So Tylenol, which is actually Panadol in America, is sugar-coated.
Oh,
Tastes better.
Yeah, it tastes better.
it's fucking
you go.
man. I've had like ibuprofen, and like you put it in your mouth, and you're like, fuck, this tastes
Tastes
right.
like shit.
This tastes all right.
No, have you had like the straight up brand name Panadol where it's not
Oh yeah,
anything?
yeah,
Like
man.
And tried chewing
Yeah.
it?
You're like, oh, what the fuck? It's like
Have
you're
you
eating
tried
chalk.
feeding that to a kid?
No.
That's like neck level adult parenting shit.
Oh, you should try putting it in like a scoop of jam.
Nah, honey.
Ooh,
Yeah, so like you
Sugar,
can't give a kid
actually.
a full dose. So like you crack it in half, you crush it, mix that with honey on a teaspoon, whack it
You
in the
can't
You know
give you a
there's
kid a
children's
full
Panadol,
dose.
which comes in liquid form?
You can't,
Dude,
What are you giving your fucking child a tablet?
you can't
it's
give him a
cheaper
full
to
pill.
buy a parent's tablet, crack it in half.
Yes, it's cheaper.
It's the same
but
dose.
You don't have to go through all that rigmarole. You just be like, hey, here's some fucking strawberry flavored Panadol.
Bro,
And they're like,
when
there
you were
go,
a kid,
yum.
100% your parents were chopping up that fucking Panadol with a credit card and mixing it in with a
That's I don't know. The only reason, like I honestly, that was my first reaction when Archie was sick was get Panadol, crush it, put it in honey because that's what my parents did with me.
Did you snort the other half?
What the fuck?
Absolutely, I did.
Can you snort Panadol?
You can if you crush it up small enough.
You could technically snort anything you want.
Yeah.
It might not do anything.
Anyway, we should wrap this thing up and thank Dr. Tim once again for being on the podcast.
We will assemble, or well, Caleb will assemble somewhat of a podcast out of this fucking trash talk for the last 3 and a quarter hours.
Are we at 3.25 hours?
Whoa!
We're done.
Let's do it.
Thank you very much for listening, putting up with our shit, laughing along with us, and disagreeing with everything Josh says. So, thank you very much, Send It Mate listeners. You guys are champions. Hit us up. We've got chopping boards available. Add us to Instagram. Give us a follow. Tell your friends. We are definitely trying to branch out to different things in the new season. So keep an eye out for that.
Well, hopefully we still have chopping boards when this gets released in season 4, which you're clearly forgetting.
I'm clearly forgetting that.
This is not coming out next week. This is coming out in season 4.
This is completely bypassed my drunk brain.
Anyway, thank you very much, Tim, for your awesome company, man. Sorry, we went on man tangents, bro.
I'm sorry we're shit cunts.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with alcoholism.
Nothing at all. Coming from
Fucking from a doctor. Everyone get on it. Motherfuckers, enjoy your fucking after Christmas, because this when you'll hear it.
I hope you get many, many presents from those that you want.
Santa's real.
This is Camp Mum, drink responsibly.
You are a pussy.
I can drink better than you, mate.
Oh! Settle down, 2-drink wonder. Look at it.
Piss.
G'day, dude and dudettes. Josh here. Do you find it hard to keep your long, hard barrels free from gun STDs? Maybe you need a clean out of your bore. If this is you, jump on over to highcaliber.com.au and use the promo code SENDITMATE to receive a 10% discount on all your gun cleaning needs. And remember, it's sexy to support Australian-made products. Everyone here at Send It Mate uses High Caliber, and we can promise you that it'll keep your firearms free from those pesky gun STDs.